Paper?
Yeah.
Paper.
Paper.
Paper?
Paper.
Paper.
Polo.
Paper.
Plastic.
The
Paper.
paper.
Polo. Plastic.
Paper.
Polo.
Polo?
Octopus.
Polo. Thames.
Okay.
Oh.
Is your pencil in need of sharpening?
Yes.
Why don't I trade you one instead?
I like sharpening pencils.
I know, but it makes a lot of noise, and you keep playing with it.
I was making a statement with it before.
A statement? What was your statement?
I don't remember. I mean, I was making it with a pencil sharpener. Clearly, it was not a very,
All right, here you can sharpen your pencil once.
Once, okay.
Don't mess it
Well, I
up.
don't want to use it yet because it's actually pretty
Yeah.
sharp right now. I'll save it
Oh,
for- save
okay,
it for
okay.
later.
But you only get the one.
I know, I understood.
Okay. Where's Spotify? A friend of mine was at Fanime this past weekend, and he found a pizza just in a big room, and he just started shouting, "Whom pizza?" until it became evident that it was no one's pizza.
Whomst of this pizza?
Yes. Oh man, I love anime.
I love animals.
Are there any animals of note in this week's Pape?
There's
Bear.
at least
Yeah.
two.
There's Polo. So this, we've remarked a bit on screen and off screen about how Consulting Detective is much better when it's not dealing with the Jack the Ripper murders.
Oh,
Like
Yes.
already we've dealt with Evil Twin and Sherlock Holmes being murdered behind the stage in a show where Figglesworth was actually playing one of the roles. Figglesworth? How many episodes have we played? And I can't remember Wiggins' name. Have I been Meeks the whole time? Is it Meeks? Was it me? Oh God!
Lestrade.
I've completely unintentionally set up the segue for the name of this week's episode, A Question of Identity,
Oh.
which I have to assume is just combining both of those same premises, where Sherlock Holmes' evil twin Burlock is the culprit.
I am the king.
Yes. Or maybe it was Mycroft. Oh man, what if it was Mycroft?
It's probably him.
Yeah, you're probably right. Case closed.
Next.
Next. The fog covers Baker Street like a heavy shroud. Turning each passerby.
Thames.
Oh god, there's so much fog. Turning each passerby and each cart into a strange, faded vision. We are coming up the street with Wiggins leading us. No point in hailing a cab. In this pea soup, we're going as fast as any scene driver would. It looks like there's a crowd in front of Mr. Holmes' door, shouts Wiggins while quickening his step. As we come closer, we distinguish 4 silhouettes, among them Holmes' tall and slim one, easily recognizable despite the fog. Ah, Wiggins. Happy to see you. Reinforcements have arrived, Lestrade. Would you please give them a quick rundown of the situation while I finish my examination of the body? Holmes pulls out a magnificent magnifying glass out of his pocket and leans over the body lying on the doorstep of 221B Baker Street. It's a man approximately 6 feet tall, with a little puddle of blood near his right ear. Round the body, Dr. Watson is assisting Holmes in his observation when a policeman is watching over them. Lestrade, his hands in the many pockets of the suit wrapped around his 8-legged form, is rocking back and forth on its many heels. By the way he looks at us, it's easy to see that he considers us more of a meal than a helping hand. Come on, Holmes. This is a case which concerns the police. I won't let you or your acolytes insert yourselves into our investigation. You've already given us a statement to the effect that you didn't know this man, you weren't expecting visitors, and that you had no cases currently underway. Holmes pays no attention to Lestrade's speech. His attention is focused on the unknown man's body. He takes his right hand and examines each of his fingers with his magnifying glass. Watson, could you take a look at the right side of his head and see if you can determine the origin of the hemorrhaging? Of course, Holmes. Watson kneels and slightly turns the victim's head. Ah, look, it's a wound in his neck, says Watson. It would seem he's been stabbed. This caused significant internal lesions. In the meantime, Holmes is examining the victim's other hand. His fist is closed. Holmes opens it and pries open a piece of paper. Lestrade, increasingly annoyed by the detective's attitude, crouches and snatches the paper from his hand with a deft spin of his web. Remember, Holmes, this case concerns the police. Withholding evidence from us is out of the question. Lestrade brings the paper closer to his little spider eyes to examine it. It's just an article cut out of the Friday issue of the Pall Mall Gazette. The obituary announcement for Sir Wilfrid Marjoribanks. You know anything about that? No, replies Holmes in a snappy voice while examining the mouth of the corpse. He then opens his jacket to check its pockets, pulls out a silver watch, and checks to see the time matches given matches that of his own watch. All I know about that is what I've read in the papers. Before Lestrade is able to answer, the silence of the thick fog surrounding us is broken by the ringing of a bell. A police wagon surges from the mist as if floating on a cloud and stops near us. Well then, Fuller, don't just stand there. Help them load the body. Fuller and the two constables come down from the wagon, grab the body, and load it onto the vehicle, which leaves as it came. Holmes heads to the door. Come, my friends, a good cup of tea will warm our bones frozen by the cold. I need to go back to the yard to write my report, Holmes. Lestrade and Fuller walk off, quickly disappearing from our sight. 5 minutes later, we're settled in the living room. Mrs. Hudson has brought us biscuits and tea, and, at Holmes' request, stayed in our company. Holmes lights his pipe facing the window overlooking the street, his gaze lost in the fog. After a short moment, he turns to us. I've told you many times that it's a mistake to start coming up with theories without having a sufficiently large volume of information. We have too few facts about the gentleman who came to die on our doorstep this morning. However, we have a few well-established facts. First, he was a young man, probably in his 20s. Isn't that right, Watson? Absolutely, and closer to the 20 than he was to the 30. Secondly, his clothes were of average off-the-rack quality, outdated, but well taken care of. Cleaned and ironed. I'd say that a woman was taking care of them. Thirdly, he had dental care performed on him recently. Fourthly, he has a top-grade watch, which is ahead by 20 minutes. No doubt to make sure he would be on time for his work. And what if the watch was inaccurate? Asks Wiggins. It's a possibility, but it was wound this morning. If he had wanted to, he could have set it to the correct time. Moreover, his dental care leads me to believe he has a comfortable income. A person with no work pushes back that sort of intervention. Fifthly, his work. His hands were strong, calloused, used to effort, but clean. No dust or grease, not even beneath the nails. Which distinguishes him from the London working class. And most importantly, he was killed in front of the residence of the greatest consulting detective. As Lestrade was saying, that could be a coincidence. And the newspaper article? That article found in his hand firmly held? No, I don't think this is a coincidence. Holmes walks to Mrs. Hudson. Mrs. Hudson, have you heard or seen anything which could shed light on this mystery? I was in the middle of cleaning the kitchen when I heard a man shout. By the time I got to the front door, this poor young man was lying on the ground. Did he say anything? He said, "This isn't..." And then he hiccuped before life left his body. I came to get you right away. Did you tell that to Inspector Lestrade? He didn't ask me, Mr. Holmes. Faithful to his habits, Lestrade doesn't look for information which could contradict his already elaborated theory. Was that young man coming to see me? Or did he have something to do with the death of Marjoribanks? Perhaps you could take care of that while I focus on another brain teaser. Of course, says Wiggins, for all of us.
Well, and what possessions did they say were found on the body way back at the near start? Silver watch and...
Silver watch, newspaper article.
Okay, nothing else?
And... I thought there was one other thing.
I thought there was two.
No, I think that was
Yeah,
it.
I think those were the only items.
The watch has inscribed on it, Dodger Bank, N. Degree 1, 1897, if this is to be believed.
I'm guessing that's a number 1.
Yeah, probably number 1. Oh yeah, that's how they wrote numbers back then.
Dodger Bank number 1, and what was the rest?
1897.
1897.
The year.
Yeah.
Well, I would assume it's the year.
What year is
Must-
1 year ago.
1897.
Yeah.
No, yeah. But it's 1890.
Yep.
It is 1898
now, okay.
in this year of the game.
Well, as far as the newspaper goes, we obviously have the obituary we can read. if
Yes,
you wanna start
please.
There. It's actually from the previous paper. Obituaries. So, Sir Wilfrid.
Oh, excuse me. So this is from the paper from last week's
Yep.
episode.
I see.
Indeed. And let's see, Sir Wilfrid Majoribanks?
Majoribanks.
Majoribanks. We have the regret to announce the death of Sir Wilfrid Majoribanks. He was found dead yesterday of a heart attack in the apartments of the Cosmopolitan Hotel, the usual reference of Sir Wilfrid during his visits to the capital. Sir Wilfrid, 52 years old, had been an eminent member of Parliament, Manchester, since 1880. Born on July 2nd, 1845, he was the second son of Edward Majoribanks of Manchester. An Oxford graduate, he joined his father and his brother at the Coates Bank, founded by his grandfather, Dudley C. Majoribanks.
Excuse me? Deadly Sea?
Dudley C.
Oh, Dudley Sea.
Yes.
I was going to say, it's quite a pirate.
The deadly sea.
Sir Wilfrid was respected in government circles as much for his devotion and his integrity as for his keen knowledge of the banking and financial industry. While he was a member of the Conservative Party and an ardent defender of Balfour, he had many supporters in Parliament, and many saw him as a future successor to the Treasurer. Sir Wilfrid was a bachelor whose social life was often abandoned in favor of his work, with the exception of his many suppers at the Carlton Club. He was known for his skilled use of the language. While a businessman wanted to buy a parcel of land in the middle of a neighborhood which his family owned, he declared, "Might as well kill a sheep to have a rib." If he failed to get his viewpoint across to a visitor, he'd declare to his secretary, once the visitor is gone, "What good to talk to that man? It's like putting ointment on a peg leg." The funeral will take place in Manchester this Sunday after the examination of the body by the coroner. And that's the obituary.
Interesting.
As far as this week's paper, a quick scan doesn't actually reveal too much that's directly applicable, but there's a few things of note. Message for a friend. And it's a lot of gibberish that is almost obviously some type of code. I don't know if there's an easy way to get it on camera, but I can at least show you guys.
It's like when you ride into Alliance territory and they start talking to you.
Indeed.
Brr.
Let's see. Semi-related, there is the cryptographic notice. An extraordinary cryptographic machine allows you to encrypt and decrypt correspondence mechanically. Probably not that legitimate. The other thing that
Well, if it's just like a decoder ring or something like that, you know, would have been quite the invention back then.
Indeed.
I like that it's right below the cryptic message. So.
There are a couple of other things.
What if they placed the message for a friend in order to entice people to try and solve it for themselves, and then use his
That's
services?
brilliant. That's brilliant.
These aren't necessarily strictly related to the case, but I think these three articles are amusing simply for their content, and
Please.
I will read them. They're all brief. The Leighton murder.
Professor Layton, no!
The Essex Sheriff has received a letter from the Ministry of Interior announcing that the death sentence of Kate Ellen Shoesmith from Leighton for infanticide had been commuted to a life sentence. Whoops. The other two are better, I think.
Why did she...
Yeah.
Alright, now I'm imagining
Damn Laytons.
she killed Professor Layton as a baby, who was like a baby but has Professor Layton's big head and hat
Yeah.
No.
still as a baby, creating a time paradox.
Yeah, there was some time travel in some of those games, wasn't there?
There were two games, no fewer than 2 games, that prominently featured time travel.
At any rate, attacked by a bear. As he was cleaning a cage from the circus of Lord John Sanger in Windsor last Saturday, James Jameson, I didn't make up that name, was attacked by a black bear which occupied the wagon. Jameson was thrown to the ground and clawed by the furious bear who, biting at the head, inflicted terrible bites upon him in 6 places. He managed to flee and was brought to the Royal Infirmary where he is slowly recovering. And finally, the Hour of the Wolves.
My god.
This week, keep your children safe and your women in your beds if you fear crossing famished beasts. The more courageous and curious among you will be able to take the risk and raise your eyes after nightfall to see one of the greatest full moons of the decade. Be careful though, as more important tides could take place in the upcoming days.
That's ridiculous. No one's seen the moon in years.
There's one thing that might be related to the case I noticed while I was stalling for time by reading the
Please.
other articles. Couple seeks employ as domestic valet and cook governess for bachelor gentlemen. Excellent recommendations. JL 107 3rd Avenue, Harrow Road, Queens Park. Which the reason I mentioned that is we did just have a bachelor gentleman die 3 days ago, and it seems an odd request that they would be asking for exactly the same situation unless that was something they were used to doing.
Maybe so.
They might not know him. They might.
Maybe.
We
At
shall
the
see.
moment, though, we're not investigating Mr. Majoripants murder.
Mario Banks.
Yeah, Mario Lopez Banks. We need to investigate this young man. Brandon, I believe you're up first. Where shall we go?
Oh, that's a good question. Burn all of our missiles down to
If we're trying to figure out who he is, the watch might be our
Yeah,
best
let's say-
starting lead.
Let's see. Do we know? Can we look up the what was it, Dodger Bank?
Dodger Bank?
To see if that's Well, that could. Well, that may actually just be the bank that's the one. Well, in any case,
Spell Dodger real quick?
Dodger.
That's what I would have thought, but I don't see it.
bank.
I'll look for bank. I'll look under banks directly.
Is it a name?
I wasn't
It
sure
is.
if it was a name or if it's the name of a bank.
Right.
There's not a bank with the name that Dodger. The closest is Drummond's, and that's not close at all. And Dodger under D in the dictionary does not come up with anything.
What about Banks? Like Banks, the last name or something?
Well, that we can check. There is James Banks. That's it.
Just bank, I'm afraid. Can I see the directory really
Oh,
quick?
of course.
Thank you.
I did note there are only 3 dentists in all of London. If we want to check that, that won't be that difficult.
Ah, that's a very good
Yeah,
point.
yeah.
That might be a very good way to pass the time.
This dentist would certainly know who he is.
Yes, indeed. Very well. Well,
Carriages could also tell us where this guy was before he died on the door. Oh wait, carriages weren't used today because of the fog, I bet.
they weren't.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, dentistry might be the way to go.
Do you want to just go down the list?
Maybe we could do like a proximity based.
Approximate to where though? I mean, his dentist.
221B Baker Street.
But his dentist wouldn't necessarily be anywhere near where he.
Yeah, but it's better than going in a random order.
Fair enough. Well, the choices are.
Well, no, it's early in the day. It's the middle of the morning, I believe. And he's already had the dentistry work done today.
Oh, it was done today? I thought it was done recently, but I didn't necessarily catch today.
I thought that he was implying that it was today, but I'm not positive.
I think it was today. I think it was just recent enough to notice that.
It was,
Yeah.
clean.
Yeah.
Or like
Just so,
crowns,
just so.
crowns or something.
Yes, you're right. My mistake.
Okay. Well, if there's no preference, the first one on the list.
Well, what are the names? Perhaps we can suss something out from what they're called.
Okay. Harrison Beaufort, A.A. Goldsmith, and
All right.
G.H. Jones.
Well, I've got nothing.
Goldsmith, he's got a silver watch, so not Goldsmith.
Yeah, probably not that.
Definitely. Doesn't like gold.
Let's try the first one.
Okay, that would be 23 West Central.
2 or 3 at the WC.
What?
I do not see anything there.
Okay.
I always thought he said pickle.
The next one will be 93 Northwest.
Guess we didn't waste a 93 Northwest.
Mm-hmm.
Huh, also not showing up.
Well, then either will be 64 to West Central or nothing.
How mysterious, if so.
Nothing?
I didn't find anything in any of those locations, which is very curious. Can you read those back? I want to make
Sure.
double check.
23 West Central.
Yeah, in the WC. No, not. 23?
Mm-hmm.
No, we skipped right past it.
Oh, it was there?
No.
Oh.
No, I mean, their numbers.
Oh, okay,
Their
okay.
numbers really close to that.
93 Northwest.
9-3. It does not even go. Well, yeah, no.
And 64 West Central.
No.
Okay.
My God!
Well,
The game's afoot.
Maybe it was just Holmes' way of saying that he had decent income. 'Cause
Maybe.
that was the fact he directly drew from that.
Maybe makers of watches.
I mean, maybe he doesn't live in London.
Also possible.
Indeed. Maybe he would have been in town for the funeral, because the funeral was Sunday, which was the day before today.
Maybe so. If the items that we found on him aren't going to help, then maybe a professional looking at the body might be able to give us some more hints.
Yeah.
So perhaps the coroner.
Mhm.
Lobos, what's Meek's address on the back there?
Meeks is at. Oh, there it is, at the very top. 38 EC,
That's the coroner, right?
the head medical examiner.
Yes.
31.
38 EC.
You see operation. I think I can figure out what directions came in by now.
I still have him.
I don't know, it feels different every time. But
38, you said?
38 EC.
Alright. Have you discovered something about the young man found killed this morning on Baker Street, Meeks? Asks Wiggins. I haven't performed a complete post-mortem examination yet, Wiggins. What I can tell you is that he died from a wound inflicted by a knife to the right side of his neck. He was stabbed from behind by a right-handed person using a downward thrust. I'll have more details tomorrow. And what can you tell us about the man who died at Bethlehem last Friday morning? I've examined the body of Mr. Smith, Wiggins. I don't like what I saw. He died from a rupture of the cervical vertebrae. Pretorius claims it happened during an epileptic fit. Hard to believe. The inside of his mouth isn't ravaged in the way that an epileptic's mouth is, and his brain showed none of the signs usually linked to epilepsy. Meeks unveils the body so that we can see the victim. The light from the morgue is reflected on his bald head, almost giving him the appearance of being alive. Death was caused by a powerful blow to the head, he tells us while pointing at a large mark behind the body's ear. Well,
Interestingly, there are some things in the current newspaper that might relate to Mr. Smith, even though they didn't relate to our supposed main case. You want me to go ahead and tackle those?
Please.
indeed.
Let's see. There were definitely some printed articles about that.
I would be interested in checking out going to the Carlton Club, because that's related to Marjorie Banks, which is in the article, was found in his hand, and maybe it's something to mislead, or maybe it's somebody like who
He might.
wants to provide, like, see if they can be caught or something like that.
Yeah, at this point, Majora Banks might be our best link to this mystery man.
Anyway,
Um,
here's the article about Mr. Smith, or at least related potentially. A patient escaped from the Bethlehem. The management of the Bethlehem Asylum has reported to the police the breakout of one of its patients, Irving Novak, during the early hours of the morning last Friday. Novak is a young man of 22 years old, calm, slim, and with brown hair. The last time he was seen, he was wearing the white clothes of the asylum. He is not considered to be dangerous. Whoever has information about him is asked to contact the Lambeth Road Police at 53 Southeast.
Well, we know where he is. Let's report.
no, they said his name was Smith, didn't they?
And that guy was bald.
Indeed.
Yeah.
It's not the escapee, but it seems like Bethlehem Asylum is definitely having an interesting time with things.
The Carlson Club?
Yes. That is at 7 Southwest.
Correct.
Okay. Mr. Ivers, manager of personnel at the Carlton, carefully leads us into a small room so that no one sees us. It's clear that he does not want his upper-class clients to notice our presence in this bastion of conservative politics. I'm sorry for receiving you under these conditions, Ivers tells us, but only club members are allowed in the main room. They can't even bring guests. What can I do for you? We're investigating the death of Sir Wilfrid Marjorie Banks. He dined here the day before his death. That is true. It was Wednesday night. He was dining with Mr. Tobias. Did they often dine together? No, usually Sir Wilfrid dines with Saunders's group. Saunders's group? Repeats Wiggins. Yes, Sir James Saunders is the leader of a group of members of Parliament who support Balfour and are demanding the resignation of Prime Minister Salisbury to the profit of his nephew. It's the cause of great dissension among the group. I'm sorry, interrupts Wiggins. I'm not really aware of political matters. I'm sorry, you see, the Carlton is politics. Politics around the table. I sometimes forget that there's a world outside these walls that isn't interested in each vote of Parliament. Tobias and Marjoribanks have politically little in common, but I believe there was a political reason to their meeting. Were they friends? I wouldn't be able to say. These are gentlemen. One can never know about the friendships of a gentleman. Do you have any idea about the reason the two men had to meet? From experience, I know that waiters are often invisible to the eyes of the ruling class, and that they sometimes hear some of the most remarkable conversations. An understanding smile breaks out on Ivers' face, showing that Wiggins is right. That's totally true, Mr. Wiggins. I've heard many secrets, I can tell you. Ivers gets up from his chair and leaves the room for a minute. Wiggins lights a cigarette and draws a few puffs in the meantime. Ivers comes back with a young boy following him. Here's Nick. He's the one who was waiting on Sir Wilfrid's table last Wednesday. I told him what you were expecting of him.
I didn't really pay attention to what he was being said at the table, but I could see that Sir Wilfrid was angry and that Mr. Tobias was nervous and asking, almost begging, Sir Wilfrid to give him more time. Time for what? I don't know. Mr. Tobias didn't even touch his plate. He just kept busy cutting his meat into smaller and smaller pieces. Sir Wilfrid seemed to lead the conversation. His tone was severe, like a teacher's. That's about it.
Did they leave together?
Yes.
Did they speak to anyone else?
Not to my knowledge.
Thank you, Nick. I think we'll leave you. Wiggins leaves the office. Thank you for your help, he says to Mr. Ivers before stepping out into the street. Working here must have made you an ardent conservative. Quite the contrary, Mr. Wiggins. The more time you spend working here, the more socialist you become.
Because his name's come up a couple of times. Balfour is Arthur Balfour, 1st Earl of Balfour, a conservative politician who will attain the prime ministership in 1902. Now you know.
No.
So, the other dead man was angry, giving this fellow a dressing down. Someone that he doesn't usually speak with. Tobias, was that it?
Tobias.
All right. And he was currently staying at the Cosmopolitan Hotel. Perhaps there's some evidence of his doings there as well.
Indeed. While I write that down, you want to let me find it?
Most certainly.
Thank you.
71 Southwest.
Okay. 71 Southwest. Okay. Oh, there we go. Louis Pelly makes his cigar roll in his mouth from left to right before answering Wiggins' question. No, Marjoribanks generally didn't have guests in his apartments. He was single and resided here when he was in London. What kind of man was Marjoribanks? We weren't really from the same social circles, answers Pelly. Hotel detectives and members of Parliament don't often spend time together, if you know what I mean. Of course, but was he friendly? A night owl? He was a politician. Who can say with those people? Pelly gets up while continuing to chew on a cigar. Where did you find the body? In front of the door leading to his room. Wiggins heads to the spot, pulling his magnifying glass out of his pocket and kneels to examine the ground. Has the room been cleaned or touched since his death? No, the police asked that no one touch anything. Marjoribanks had paid for these apartments until the end of the year. His brother will come by before the end of the week to get his personal belongings. Where does this brother live? Pelly pulls out a notepad from inside his jacket and leafs through it before answering us. Kronstadt. No idea where that is. He works in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Can you describe precisely what you found? Asks Wiggins in the most respectful way there could be. Pelly lets out a heavy sigh, pulls a cigar from his mouth, and begins his tale. The chambermaid found him Thursday morning at 7:30. Pelly turns a few pages from his pad. She generally comes in at that time every day to draw a bath. Majora Banks doesn't have any staff. A man came in at around 8 to help him get dressed. Pelly's tone clearly lets on the disdain he feels about these demands from rich people. His personal secretary arrives almost every day at 9 o'clock. They work until noon, then go out to eat, and then head out to Parliament. Last Thursday, the chambermaid found Majora Banks lying on the ground right where you are, dead. I think he'd been dead for 7 or 8 hours before that, as he was already stiff. His face was grimacing, and he was clutching both of his hands to his chest. I think he'd had a heart attack. He was wearing a smoking jacket and slippers. It looked like he'd had the heart attack while getting changed to go to bed. While Pelly relates the events, Wiggins examines the ground between the two rooms. No blood or other bodily fluid. What's that? It looks like tobacco ash. Wiggins rubs the substance between his thumb and his index finger. Yes, says Pelly. He was smoking his pipe at the time of his death. It fell to the floor. I've put it with the others on the table, he says while gesturing at a small rack holding a dozen pipes and a tobacco pouch on a table near the fireplace. I thought that everything had remained the way it was, says Wiggins, annoyed. Which pipe is it? The one nearest the tobacco pouch. Wiggins observes the pipe closely. A very nice piece of work. A Dunhill bulldog. Wiggins sniffs at the tobacco. A fetid smell. He opens the tobacco pouch to take a pinch and brings it to his nose. The smell seems to perplex him. It looks like a sort of Dunhill No. 4. Wiggins places a small quantity of the tobacco in an envelope. He then examines the pipe with his magnifying glass. This part is deeply bit into. Interesting. Wiggins examines the other pipes and smells their chambers. What's so interesting? Asks Pelly. Nothing better reflects the personality of a man than his pipe, other than his watch and his shoelaces. Holmes told me often enough, and he's rarely wrong, Wiggins smiles. What else could you tell us? The last person to have seen him alive is Marvin Tobias. They dined together the previous night, then came back here to drink together. Yes, I wanted to talk to you about these glasses. Wiggins gets closer to a pair of brandy glasses, which still contain the residues of the noble drink. One of the glasses is still a third full. Wiggins pulls a small flask from his pocket, in which he gathers some of the dark liquid. Can you give me the name of Majora Banks' secretary? Vincent Shelby, reads Pelly in his notepad. Anything else? Yes, the chambermaid and the domestic. Nancy Callison and Matthew Bryant. Is that enough? Yes, I think. One last thing. What? In Austria-Hungary. What? asks Pelly, perplexed. Kronstadt. It's in Austria-Hungary. Quite a bit of details there.
Wondering if we can go have that evidence examined for.
I was just thinking that. Perhaps a visit to the Dunhill's tobacconist would be a good idea.
Indeed.
Was that where that tobacco is from?
And the pipe, apparently.
Okay.
Just so, just so. Shall we?
I do want to add, I mean, Wiggins didn't comment on it officially, but he seemed to react strangely when he sniffed the pipe originally, and then sniffed the bag of tobacco and seemed to have an odd reaction. He didn't comment on it, but he said he looked perplexed.
Yeah.
Without actually elaborating as to why.
That's exactly all I wanted to follow up on.
Yeah.
However, perhaps more notably, this guy also hung out with Marvin. Marvin Obias, who is clearly the villain of this story. So that could be a worthwhile lead as well. The tobacco seems sexier, though, so I'm going to follow up on that, if that sounds good. Dunhills can be found at 86 Southwest. Richard Hacker, the commercial manager at Dunhills, takes the tobacco gathered by Wiggins in Majora Banks' room and sniffs it with a nose that has given him a reputation in the tobacco industry. His face immediately twists into an expression of utter disgust. He sniffs it again, and this time seems perplexed. I don't understand. Sir Wilfrid buys his tobacco directly from us. This really is our number 4 tobacco, but it looks like something was added to it. I can't tell you what. You should see there are chemists in St. James Square in front of the Baldwin Card Club. He'll be more precise. In any case, this did not improve our product.
What did it say?
The chemist in St. James Square, I think. Maybe. Yes, St. James Square is a place
I think there's a lot of squares.
across from the Baldwin Card Club.
Vincent Square. Russell Square. Tavistock Square. There's squares.
There's a street that's just called Square. Oh wait, no, that's
Perhaps if you could look up the Carlton Card Club, we can find that. And then triangulate. Is it under the squid? No, that's protecting the prison.
Belgrade Square.
That's different from the Carlton Club.
Baldwin Card
Oh,
Club.
Baldwin. BO or BA?
BA.
No. 88 Southwest.
88 Southwest. That's...
That is
Bingo.
That is very close to the. Well, oh, there it is. Baldwin Card Club.
Haha!
There
St.
it
James
is.
Place, which
St.
means...
James Square.
Yes.
It is
So,
square, it's right here.
Oh, spectacular. Then 90 is probably where we're going, right? Across the square from the card club?
Yeah, that seems correct.
Cool.
Makes sense?
Would you like to visit the chemist?
Let's go do chemistry.
Let's do it.
That's at 90 Southwest.
That's what we
Yes.
think.
90 Southwest.
Hopefully it's not a bomb.
This is, I think, this is a different location because this is a newspaper office.
Oh.
Try 87
Let's
Northwest.
rewind
Wait.
that.
Chemists
Sorry,
are
Southwest.
Chemists are actually listed as a category in here.
My God.
So where do we think it is?
Somewhere in the
Oh,
southwest.
it's at
About 87.
It's at 87.
My God. We triangulated the hell out of that chemist.
In his laboratory, Percy Ashwell places the tobacco sample under a large lens held in place by a copper arm. He then takes a metal tool with a rounded tip and starts to quickly separate crushed leaves into 2 piles. He then takes 1 pinch of the piles and places it under a microscope. Then he takes another sample, which he places in a mortar. He then pours a white liquid in the mortar and mixes everything with a glass rod. The solution becomes blue. Ashwell draws a drop of the blue liquid and lets it fall on his forearm. After a few moments, he wipes it with a white cloth that was lying on his counter. Aconitum napellus, he says with a smile.
He's a wizard!
Indeed. What? Asked Wiggins. It's Snapdragon. Oh, he is a wizard.
Ha ha!
Says Ashwell. It's one of
This
the-
will improve my herbalism.
It's one of the most dangerous flowers of Central Europe. The other leaves come from the various tobaccos used for number 4 tobaccos from Turkey and Virginia. An explosive mix. I strongly suggest you don't smoke it. Well, there goes the rest of my day. It's a lethal poison. It can kill you, especially if you've got a weak heart. Aconitine?
May I?
Aconitine. The alkaloid poison extracted from the snapdragon is a neurotoxin which affects the heart. In its purest form, a single grain of aconitine can kill a man. For someone as solid as you are, smoking this mix would make you sick. For a man with a weak heart, it would probably kill him. Well,
Well,
we have solved a part of a murder, but not the murder. And we've certainly had, well, we now know, perhaps the motivation.
There's.
Yeah, no, you're right. We don't actually know, no.
I don't think we know the motivation, but we know the method.
Yeah, I'm
I
not.
meant the motivation for the man to come to Holmes.
Ah, just so. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm not.
I did find Marvin Tobias in the directory.
Excellent.
If you want to.
I have found a couple of newspaper articles, or blurbs rather, of note. For example, there is the full text of the cryptographic notice, which we have remarked upon, but is terrifically entertaining. An extraordinary cryptographic machine allows you to encrypt and decrypt correspondence mechanically. Cryptograph. Turn all of your missives confidential. Cryptograph. The missing link to secure all of your telegrams. Cryptograph. Sold worldwide. Cryptograph. Fulfills a need. Come see it at work in our offices at the Eureka Company. Right beneath that, there is an article for a pharmacy, Squire and Son. Medicine through plants. Unguents for rheumatism. Herbal teas for concocted, obstructed nasal pathways. Mustard flower cataplasms for the bronchioles. There's also exciting opportunities awaiting you in mining. Documentation available by mail.
I just had a pseudo-rational theory.
Yes, please. Those have always led us
So back
to
a while
jail.
ago, we got a list of like his secretary and some other people.
Yes.
I was wondering, would any of those people perhaps fit the, I guess the demographics of the man we're looking for? Like someone who, is moderately well paid, but
Secretary certainly could.
still works with their hands, but in a clean environment. Because I'm going to hazard a guess that our person from the article must have some insider knowledge of what happened here, and thus their identity may be of one. Essentially, if we go looking for one of these people and they're mysteriously missing,
Then maybe they died on Sherlock Holmes' doorstep.
yes,
Yeah, the secretary would be my guess.
That's Vincent Shelby.
I believe that was the name.
Okay. Well, we could try following up with him or with Mr. Tobias.
Yes.
Lovis, what do you think?
Let's go with Vincent Shelby.
All right. Shelby. Well, I wonder if he does live here, but we shall see. There's a Vincent Shelby at 67 Northwest. I hope he's not murdered.
Tobias, a friend of Sir Wilfrid's? I don't think so, no. Vincent Shelby shakes his head negatively as he answers Wiggins' question.
oh, this guy's alive.
He's alive. I mean, you never know.
Who shakes
Wait
his
till the
head?
end.
Who shakes his head positively?
Oh no, you're right. Yeah.
I don't know why they would have dined together, but that would be a first. And I'm the one in charge of making his appointments. Could it be political? Everything Sir Wilfrid did was political. What is Tobias's role? He's in charge of a department in the government. Something in the printing services, I believe.
One of those government departments. Sounds legit.
Was he under Marjoriebank's responsibility? No, Sir Wilfrid's domain of expertise was banking affairs. The Bank of England, banking practices, that sort of thing. Recently, he had been interested in fraud in government bonds. I only took care of his schedule and of his routine correspondence, so that he could spend more time on his more important activities. I wasn't aware of his political or financial affairs. Was it?
Bond fraud and government printing, huh?
Bank of England might be a worthwhile stop.
Maybe.
Or perhaps Mycroft. Yes.
Wouldn't mind seeing Marvin Tobias just to see what he says for himself.
I think that's a fair point. Lovis, do you remember where he's at?
Yes, 24 WC.
I like it.
24 WC.
Mm-hmm.
decipher this message.
I tried. I didn't get anywhere.
I want to make an important announcement.
Yes?
I'm using my one pencil sharpening allotment.
Go for it, sir. Oh, well done, well done. That's a good sharpen. That's a good hustle. Sports and practice.
24.
Okay, now I'm taking it away.
And replacing it with this squid.
It's actually a crab.
What?
It was turned into a crab.
Oh, yeah.
Are you sure it wasn't turned into a kid now?
Alright, 24 WC. Marvin Tobias is a small man, barely taller than 5 feet, and who probably doesn't weigh more than 100 pounds. A port wine stain covers his right cheek and spreads down to his neck under his shirt. He wears thick glasses, framed in gold, which seem to make his eyes bulge out of his face. What can I do for you? He asks as he
Please
sits down in his
use
study.
Marvin's voice.
I can't do Marvin's
Alright,
voice.
alright.
We're investigating the death of Sir Wilfrid Majorabanks, says Wiggins. An investigation into his death? Why? I thought he died of a heart attack. What makes you believe it was a heart attack? He complained of chest pain during dinner on Wednesday, and he continued when he went to his apartment for a drink. I should have stayed with him or insisted that he called a doctor. He might have still been alive. You've known each other for a long time? For many years. I worked for the government and the printing services. You were good friends then? Of course. Where did you eat last Wednesday? At the Carlton Club. Now, gentlemen, if you have no more questions, my work awaits me. Of course. Thank you for seeing us. Very, very suspicious answers in light of what literally every other person we've talked to has told them about.
Yes.
Told us about those two.
Just so.
Okay.
I'm going to just write big fat liar for my notes from him.
So then, to sum up, Marjorie Banks was investigating him for bond fraud and killed him?
Yeah, even he was kind of vague about his job in the printing services, unless that was just something that was understood to mean printing bonds and the like back then.
I don't know.
I mean,
I don't
was
know
there
enough
like a
about-
government newspaper? That doesn't seem legit.
Doesn't seem that way.
Hmm.
I think Mycroft might actually be a worthwhile stop in order to elucidate how the government works. Mycroft, please tell us, how does the government work?
8 Southwest. Also Henry Ellis, who's foreign affairs man,
Ah, yes.
who we like never talked to. I think,
It had a lot of homegrown mysteries, this expansion.
So Mycroft was where? Sorry,
8 Southwest. Before speaking to us, Mycroft adjusts his massive hut-like body into a more comfortable position in the red leather stuffed armchair adapted to a man of his stature. Once his cigar is lit, he answers Wiggins' first question. Sir Wilfrid Majorabanks was an honest man, Wiggins. Honest, hardworking, and intelligent. We'll greatly miss him. Do you know what his work was about? Because I can't make heads or tails of it. He was a member of Parliament. He must be juggling more topics than a Chinese acrobat juggles balls. Balls, Wiggins. What? Balls. Juggles balls. Keep up, man. Twitch.com. He mainly took care of the supervision of the government, financial matters, banking matters mostly. His family made a fortune thanks to the banks. He was expected to be the next treasurer upon Sir James Walter's retirement next month. This is not an ordinary victim, Wiggins. You sure he was assassinated? That's what we're trying to discover. Well, keep me appraised, says Watson, while getting up from his seat. But remember that there's not necessarily a worm under every rock. What say you fellows to me strutting down the street to the Bank of England?
Sure.
Alright.
Seems like a place where he had some business. Maybe they can tell us a little bit better what he was doing there. That's at 23 Southeast. Wait, is it? Moment. 23 EC, excuse me. I goofed him up. Sir Edward Syringe Hutchinson, Director of the Bank of England and professional murderer, seems impatient to see us and quickly meets us at his office. No, excuse me, he's the Director of the Bond Service. He gets up and shakes Wiggins' hand. Each of his fingers is a syringe. I'm enchanted to make your acquaintance, Mr. Wiggins. I've been given to understand you had some information about the work of Sir Wilfrid. Some information? We came here to learn more about Sir Wilfrid's work. We were hoping you could tell us more about his investigation. Sir Edward's forehead creases with an inquisitive fold. He hesitates in answering us. I was hoping you knew the name of the culprit. The culprit? Yes, the one responsible for these fake bonds. You didn't come here for that? Fake bonds? That's what Sir Wilfrid's investigation was about? Young man, this is very embarrassing. It's a very discreet affair, you see. If you don't have a name to give me, then I must ask you to understand the situation's delicacy. And please end this conversation here. I'm sure you understand. Sir Edward goes back to his paperwork. We understand that we've been summarily dismissed.
Well, that wraps up a lot of... Yeah, well, yeah. Hey,
Okay,
Yeah.
so who's this dude and how are they related?
Well, we can follow up on one of the other names of the folks related to Majora Banks. There was the maid and the...
Brother.
Was it his brother?
There's also a
There
brother.
was a brother who's gonna come get his stuff.
Yeah.
I thought there was someone else that visited...
Governess.
What was the address for that place?
For the Cosmopolitan Hotel,
Yes.
71 Southwest.
Oh, they do specifically, like, Holmes mentions that he thinks whoever this is lives with a lady.
That's right.
So it could be that he's the husband of the...
Nancy or something?
Nancy Callison is the chambermaid. Matthew Bryant is the domestic.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
There was someone else.
So yeah, the other guy.
Yeah.
Yes.
He may be the... Yes.
Would you care to investigate Matthew Bryant?
Certainly.
Broderick?
But, he's dead. I can never not look up Sir Miller Brandon whenever I open this thing up.
Okay, Matthew.
Matthew Bryant lives at 29 EC.
29.
Whoa. Oh, look at this. 29 EC. Here we go.
It's just like a map of like murder this way. Ugh.
Yes, sir. Sir Wilfrid regularly called upon my services. I assist him.
Oh, this guy's alive too.
Yeah.
For now.
Him, and Sir Mulholland over the course of the morning. Who's the second him? When the Duchess is in town, I perform various tasks for her during the course of the day. And in the evening, I perform school services left and right. Matthew Bryant is a discreet man, near his 30s. His chestnut eyes reflect his intelligence and his kindness. What happened on the morning when the body was discovered? Oh, I don't know anything about that, sir. When I arrived, the doctors and the police were already there. I wasn't allowed to go in. Did anything unusual happen on Wednesday morning? No, sir. Sir Wilfrid had his habits. He'd get up every morning at 7:30. He'd get clean, dressed, and then he would take his breakfast at 8:30. 1 egg, 2 pieces of toast without butter, and tea. He never had meat in the morning. At 9 o'clock sharp, his personal secretary would arrive, and then they'd both work until 11:30. Then leave for Parliament. I would leave upon Mr. Shelby's arrival. That morning, he asked me to go get his evening wear ready, as he was dining at the club. I set everything up and then left. That's the last time I saw Sir Wilfrid. This person is also too alive to be.
Eyes are too chestnut, too.
Oh, I think he's simply restating. I assist him and Mr. Mulholland over the course of the morning.
Ah, thank you.
Mr. Mulholland,
Who's
huh?
Mr. Mulholland?
That's a very good question,
Indeed.
Sir Miller. No Mulholland to be found here. Still the maid we could speak to.
Nancy, what?
Cal. I think there's a double
Cattle.
L's. Cattle.
Catalini?
Catalina dressing.
Good dressing.
It's alright. Callison. Nancy Callison. 85. Don't erase me. 85 EC.
85 EC.
I'm not a murderer!
No! Yes, Sir Wilfrid was a gentleman of the best sort, we learned from Nancy Callison. The young maid must not be much older than 20, and her cheeks have the freshness of youth and life. She lives with her parents.
Damn.
She's not even the guy. She lives with her parents and an undetermined number of younger brothers and sisters.
Which means she's not married. That doesn't do anything. So yeah.
It was one of my regular tasks. I'd come in at 7:30 every morning and get his bath ready. I would never stay long, but the last time he gave me a generous tip. Can you tell us what happened last Thursday? Oh, it was horrible. I arrived as per my usual time, and he was there lying on the ground with that horrible expression on his face as though he had suffered. Did you notice anything unusual? No, I didn't see anything. I immediately went to fetch Mr. Pelly. What kind of man was Marjorie Banks? A true gentleman. He never dealt with anything from up high. Have you ever seen him argue or fight? No, sir, but when I was there, he'd often be alone. What can you tell me about his private life? The cheeks of the young lady reddened. There are things a maid isn't supposed to see, sir.
Woo!
In any case, you should not be talking about them. Your answers will be taken into the utmost confidence, Miss Callison. They can no longer harm him, and it might enlighten us as to the circumstances of his death. He had a female friend who spent a few nights with him every week. When she was there, he'd leave me a tip. He never told me why, but I had understood that he wanted me to be discreet. You know who that woman was? Yes, sir, it was Luella Carnes. The singer? Asked Wiggins. Yes, I admire her so much. I go to the pavilion as often as I can to see her. This thought seems to put the young lady in a good mood. No other woman in his life? That's all I know of it, she answers. Luella
Aw, that's sweet.
Carnes with a K.
Interesting. I think she'd be a right fine follow-up. However, I thought I would point out that I was flipping through the directory, and there is a printing office in the government offices listing. So if we're interested in continuing to investigate Tobias and these bonds, that might be a good spot.
Either of those sounds pretty good, actually.
I think Ms. Carnes, as we
Yeah, we are currently on that one.
yeah, Luella Carnes can be found at 96 EC.
96 EC.
Yes, indeed. I found a pull-up.
Me too.
Nice. I think he knows that you have his tail.
You may be aware of the fact, yes. He's thwacking me with his tail repeatedly because you were making him a happy
Yeah,
doggy.
grab it. He loves that. Man, I tried to hand Apollo to Herbie when he came in, and Herbie picked him up and threw him up into the sky.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. But then he fell down and he caught him.
Oh,
Apollo was like,
magical.
The only information we get from Miss Carnes' lodger is that the singer is currently at the Pavilion Music Hall.
ah,
BS.
that jerk. The Pavilion Music Hall is at 20 Northwest.
20 Northwest. Okay.
I think I remember this Mass Effect level.
Wiggins is on the point of knocking on the door of Miss Luella Carnes' dressing room when a loud noise is heard from within, immediately followed by the shrill shout of a feminine voice. Get out of here right now! The dressing room bursts open, and a man in evening wear leaves running. But Loopy, let me explain. Before the man can finish his sentence, a vase grazes his head, knocking his stovepipe hat off, and ends up crashing against the wall behind him. The vase explodes like a bomb, spilling flowers, water, and pieces of broken glass onto the floor. The man picks up his hat, attempts to start his sentence over, but ends up fleeing down the corridor before disappearing. We follow Wiggins, who steps over the debris which covers the dressing room floor. Indeed, the remnants of another vase transformed into a missile, which was probably the origin of the first noise we heard, litter the floor. Miss Carnes? Wiggins takes a hesitant, deference-filled voice in order to avoid being the target of the next vase. Could I speak with you for a moment? The woman has her back turned to us. She is sitting in front of a makeup table overlooked by a large mirror. She is wearing a red bathrobe of brilliant silk with brocaded blue flowers. What is this about? She turns on her stool to face us. Her beautiful alabaster face is framed by jet black hair, which emphasizes the anger flowing from her large dark eyes. Who are you? She asks. We're investigating the death of Sir Wilfrid Majorabanks, declares Wiggins. Willie? Why investigate? He died of a heart attack, didn't he? She returns to facing her mirror and starts to put on makeup. There are still questions in need of answers. And what makes you think that I know the answers? She applies a rouge to her lips as brilliant as a roe. It seems that you are a friend. A close friend. Lovers is what you mean. She seems amused and lets out a small laugh. It's true, but I assure you I didn't cause his heart attack. It almost happened to others, but not to him. She laughs again. You don't seem to be very affected. Wiggins speaks with his most humble voice, but Miss Carnes gets annoyed at him. Listen, Mr. Wiggins, I don't know for what reason you believe I need to share my life with you, and I don't care to know it. My reaction to Willie's death is in no way your business. Now, I'd greatly appreciate it if you and your friends left this room. We beat a hasty retreat.
That seems like
Murder.
a bright red silky herring.
Maybe so.
I would need a lot more evidence before I got interested in hooking further down that line, I think. The printing office, however.
Yes, indeed.
Where are we going?
The printing office of the British government,
Maybe our guy worked there.
95 Southwest. No, yes, 95 Southwest. Is not in this picture.
Really?
Yep.
Okay.
Which is odd. That seems very central to our plot.
Indeed.
Well, they also may feel like they've kind of given it to us already. I mean,
have.
Marvin outright lied, which is something you almost never see these characters do, is like just blatantly say things that are contradicted by like every other source. Like, no, they were absolutely not friends.
Yeah. He's clearly a poet.
Yeah. Well,
Which, of course, they're free to do this time because this isn't the real mystery. The real mystery is who died on the steps.
Yeah.
Yes.
Figuring out him was only a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. It's just.
okay. Fake bonds. What would we do to investigate that?
Well, the bank already kind of said, you know, we're not going to talk to you.
Right? Is there a professional informant that would be able to help with us?
There is a fellow who
Foreign
looks...
affairs? I don't.
Court cases and legal affairs, but I don't think this has gotten to that point yet.
I don't think so either.
He
It
was-
seems to be a very private investigation.
the risk
What
of being
about Porky Shinwell?
seems above his pay grade.
I don't know. Porky always has good intel, though.
No, he led us astray at least once during this stuff.
Well, once out of 17 tries.
At the risk of being pedantic, the scene of the crime is technically Sherlock Holmes' residence. But I don't know if we'd learn anything extra from going there, though.
Yeah.
Not sold on it yet, but it is worth pointing out.
What about Murray? Perhaps you can tell us something else about this watch that we discovered with him.
Yeah, we should have done that.
Back when you went to the tobacco place, that was actually what I was thinking. But it's a
Yeah.
good thing you went there because that was way better.
Well, if we went to Murray in the first place, we would have no reason to know about tobacco, so they couldn't have put it there.
Well, they put the thing about Smith with the Meeks, right?
That's strange.
strange, but seems like bonus question-y type stuff rather than...
Yes.
Because they placed it right in our path where we'd almost certainly trip over it. Murray is at 22 Southwest.
Mike, Archer Murray scratches his head sparsely covered with wild and gray hair. I have nothing for you today, my friends.
Well, I'm not even gonna...
We kill him.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's take another look at the watch ourselves.
Yes.
Right, I had
So we haven't
pictures,
looked at
right?
like just manufacturers of watches. Oh,
We haven't.
Wasn't there sorry, Squid.
Ruined.
An advertisement for watches in some previous episode?
There was, actually, in the Police Gazette, I thought. Or maybe it was the Pall Mall. Look here.
Here we go. Waltham watches.
Let's see.
Comparison. Okay, Squid. It's here.
That looks
You got
quite exactly like the one that we're... Oh, and it has... I was looking at this before. There's an R and F here. Rowlands and Frazier.
Oh,
That's our
there
man.
we go.
Yeah.
40 Northwest is where we're headed. Tally-ho! But let's walk, because it's still foggy.
40 Northwest.
40 Northwest. Yes. We should have a record if the watch was engraved. Do you know when it was purchased? Mr. Frazier is a man in the prime of his years. Splendid, refined. His head is crowned with brown, thick, permed hair. As we waited until he'd seen all of his clients, he gives us his full attention. Probably last year. The engraving indicates 1897. Very well, sir. I'll start with the period preceding the new year. This watch is one of our more popular models. It combines careful work with a modest price. He continues his automatic sales pitch all the while looking in his carefully labeled files, the receipts from last year. Aha! There it is. Dodger Bank, number 1, 1897. We engraved 2 and 6 others, numbered 2, 3, and 4, in pairs. He's visibly quite proud of his filing system, which allows him to find the needed information in less than 10 minutes. Very impressive, Mr. Frazier. Do you have the name of the address of the buyer? Both. The watches were ordered by Solomon Perkovich, 16 Penton Place, Southeast. I remember he told me he was ordering them for his darts club. A sort of fashionable sport, I believe. Thank you for your precious help, Mr. Frazier. The pleasure is mine, young man.
And where was the location of that?
That's 16 Southeast. I believe there was a
Yes.
advertisement for a darts club in the Papes.
So, hold on, let me write that down and I'll get to that very shortly. Southeast, okay.
Darts club. Join
Yes.
for murder.
Yes. A new association has been formed to host tournaments of this increasingly popular sport. Anyone interested is invited to join the Dodger Bank team at the White Hart Club, 55 Walnut Tree Walk, Southeast, this Tuesday, September 20th at 8 o'clock, or to contact Mr. Solomon Perkovich at 16 Penton Place, Southeast. The forehead slap was because it was right there the whole time
Well-
and we missed it.
Why would we have looked at a darts advertisement? We're not like Sherlock Holmes. We don't murder the entire newspaper. Excuse me? Why did I say murder the entire newspaper? I'm not a murderer. Please, no, God, you just sharpened that pencil.
Not like that bear.
Uh,
That bear didn't murder that guy. He's okay.
Are you,
Well, he's really bad.
He's recovering.
Yes.
Mr. Perkovich? I think.
Yes. And he is located at.
16 Southeast.
Yes.
Thank you. Oh, here we go. 16 Southeast. Solomon Perkovich is a tall and slim.
Oh, he's alive too.
Slim man. Must be.
Why are all these people alive?
Because we're not in the chapter reverse scenario anymore.
Be barely in his 30s. His long hazelnut hair is impeccably curled up to around his ears.
What?
Perkovich shakes each of our hands with his large bear paws and turns and leads us to comfortable seats. His long, slim bear fingers
Long and slim as a bear's.
find a vigorous grip. What can I do for
He reeks
you?
of salmon.
I ordered a set of engraved watches from Rollins and Fraser last year. We're trying to find the identity of the owner of one of these watches. I'm a bit bewildered by your question. Solomon Perkovich's eyebrows rise, reflecting the young bear's state of mind. A man who owned one of these watches was found dead this morning on Baker Street, says Wiggins abruptly. We're trying to find out who it was. Good Lord, not one of my partners. What did he look like? About 6 feet, in his 20s, light chestnut hair, clean-shaven, no distinctive features. Clean-shaven, you say? That sounds like John Dumont. Perkovich shakes his head. He continues with a weaker voice. That's terrible. Why would anyone want to kill Dumont? That's what we're trying to discover. We think that you could help us. John is a friendly boy. He's been in our darts club since its creation about a year ago. Do you play darts? No, but I've seen a few people play. But I've never tried myself. It's a wonderful game and quite simple. We're playing tonight at the White Hart, the pub in Walnut Tree. Drop by to see us if you feel like it. Thank you. I might drop by. Maybe one of your teammates would have information that could be of help to us. I'm sure they'll be very cooperative. I still can't believe his voice trails off. Do you know Dumont's address? His place of employment? Oh, yes, of course. He worked at the Bethlehem Asylum.
Oh.
He lives with his mother, you see, with his mother. Let's see. Perkovich examines a stack of papers on his desk while answering Wiggins. Ah, there we go. 42 Cheney's Street, West Central. Thank you for your help. With pleasure. I hope you'll catch the miscreant who committed the crime, and don't hesitate to come throw some darts with us sometime. Minigame unlocked.
Yeah. Roman, come play darts. I am a bear.
You know, it's kind of a funny thing. Making bear noises is one of those things that almost never fails to be funny.
It's pretty good.
Well,
Bears are pretty great.
That's very good.
You know who died, probably.
42 West Central, I think, his residence with his mom.
His mom.
And that's all.
West Central. We've barely finished knocking at the door when a corpulent and maternal-looking woman opens it. She might be
Mycroft.
It's the mama, baby.
Yes, what can I do for you? Is this John Dumont's place of residence? Yes, you know Johnny? There's worry in her voice.
Oh.
Are you his mother? Yes, she says as she invites us into her modest but well taken care of apartment. When did you see him for the last time? This morning. He didn't even take the time to have breakfast. He was in a hurry. He said that he had decided and that he had to go and see someone. Is he all right? I'm sorry for bringing you this terrible news, Miss Dumont, says Wiggins. We think that your son is dead. No, not my Johnny. Dolores Dumont collapses on a chair. Her face breaks down and turns into a mask of tears and sorrows. We give her a moment of silent respite before starting to question her again. The police need you to take care of the routine identification. I know it's hard for you, but it might help us find his killer. Killer? My son was killed, she asks in a sob. Yes. I don't understand. We led a quiet life. Who would want to kill him? We were hoping you could tell us more about that. You told us he had said he needed to see someone this morning. Do you know who? Mrs. Dumont has found enough of her calm to think about her question. I don't know. I think it had to do with his work. Where does he work? At the Bethlehem Asylum. He was looking at an article from the newspaper and was saying that he had to talk about it. What was the article about? I'm afraid I wouldn't be able to tell you, young man. I've never learned how to read, and neither did John. I didn't understand what he saw on that piece of paper. Where is he now? He's at St. Bart's. Thank you for speaking to us. If you have more information that comes to mind, you can contact me at this address. says Wiggins while handing her his card. We leave her to her sorrow.
I'm sorry, did he say that he was looking at today's paper, or?
Yes, I believe so.
But the article that he had was from last week's paper, right?
Mm-hmm.
She saw him this morning. Well, they don't read, also. From the newspaper.
You know,
What if? Yeah. Go ahead.
what if he somehow got a message in a secret code?
Now, Mom says he can't read, but that may not necessarily be true.
That's true.
Maybe he can't read English,
Only
but he
code.
can read secret code.
Hmm.
It's possible. I mean, plenty of people can know the letters of the alphabet without necessarily being able to read.
Right.
If you knew the code, you could go letter by letter and figure out what it is that's being said. Well, we could check out the Bethlehem Asylum.
That's definitely looking
Yes.
pretty strong.
Yep. Or we can visit a cryptologist.
Can I write down that code?
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, I have it written down here too.
Okay.
So, Bethlehem Asylum.
Yes. Bethlehem Asylum is, of course, it's 28 Southeast.
I feel like that place is becoming a regular.
I'd certainly rather go
Yeah.
there than
Yeah.
Whitechapel.
Pretorius,
Yeah.
or whoever, is a recurring character.
Ah, that's so.
Because he was mentioned.
28 Southeast?
Yes.
Okay. I'm on it. Ooh, boy. Well, we hit the jackpot because it's almost 2 pages long and it includes a picture of what seems to be a cryptographic device of some kind.
Oh.
What?
Awesome.
Well, we'll get to that.
Well, actually, let me look at that while you're reading.
That's
Can I just see it?
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Let me take a
Yeah.
picture.
Oh, it's not quite 1-to-1, is it?
Perhaps.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, take pictures of it and then I'll read.
My phone. Someone's stolen my phone.
And there's also a clip of a September 10th newspaper article with a message for a friend circled.
Interesting. All right, well, you guys translate. I'll get some water. Does anyone else need anything while I'm up?
I think I'm okay.
Breaking the law. Breaking the law.
Oh my god.
Oh! What have I done?
Everyone got their pictures?
I did.
Okay.
The wings of rebellion that will lead to sharp pencils.
Indeed.
I trusted you. Truly, you have the heart of rebellion.
Indeed. A nurse opens the door for us. This way, Dr. Pretorius will see you now. We follow the man down several corridors. I'm called O'Rourke. You hear about the, incidents we've had recently? Yes, we'd like more details. We're a bit overwhelmed here at the moment. On top of that, Johnny hasn't shown up these past few days. We're under pressure. When did you last see him? Friday morning. He was on the night shift when the trouble started.
Please don't line up.
What trouble? One of the detainees, Irving Novak, broke out, and another, John Smith, died. What's the link between Johnny and these events? None, as far as I know. Johnny Dumont works in reception. He wasn't there during the breakout and only heard about it when it was discovered. But he went with the body to the St. Bart's morgue. Why? Dr. Imhoff asked Hanley for someone to help the driver. As Johnny was ending his shift, Hanley picked him. Who's Hanley? Angus Hanley. He's in charge of the night shift. Can you show us where the body was found? Of course, if that will help you. We follow O'Rourke down the main corridor. We soon reach the end of the corridor and find ourselves facing a solid wooden double door. O'Rourke removes an enormous keyring from his belt and opens the door. After our passage, he closes it. These are private cells for our more strongly touched patients. We're in a corridor pierced with windows on the right wall. The left wall contains 5 identical doors, each with a small opening at head's height. Tell us what happened. Chester Carley was on watch. His office, well, really, the guard room, is at the end of the corridor. He makes his rounds for half an hour every hour, on the hour, starting with these rooms. Then he comes back to his office. It's when he came back from his 2 o'clock round that Carlene saw something suspicious. He noticed glass on the ground. As he was leaning over to examine it, he was knocked out. 20 minutes later, when he regained his senses, his keys had disappeared and 2 doors were open. Irving Novak's room was empty. John Smith's body was in the other room. It was a mess. He had visibly struggled. And you think Novak killed Smith? I think so. He found a way to leave his room and attack Chester. He must have tried to get Smith to go with him so that he couldn't tell what had happened. When he didn't want to go, Novak killed him. O'Rourke looks at Wiggins nervously. I should bring you to see Pretorius now. He'll start wondering what's keeping us. I'd like to take a look at the rooms first, says Wiggins as he heads to the first door. O'Rourke doesn't look very comfortable, but silently agrees. Who was in this one? Smith. Wiggins enters the small, sparsely furnished room. A bed mat is standing against the back wall with the covers rolled in a ball underneath. On the left wall is a small desk and an oak armoire. The right side, an old set of shelves. On the right side, an old set of shelves. A square table and 2 chairs sit in the middle of the room under a gas lamp. Finally, a sink is set in the corner. The body was found near the bed, says O'Rourke from the corridor. I don't see any traces of blood, says Wiggins as he examines the ground and the bed with his magnifying glass. No. Weird, huh? I don't know how he died. There are no clothes on the shelves. Wiggins opens the armoire. It's empty. He's about to close it when he spots a small black leather briefcase in a dark corner. It has a label from the Curnaud Company and is closed. Wiggins quickly checks its contents. Passports under the name of Rodolfo Lopez and Jose Luis Fuentes and bearer bonds. There's a fortune in there. Look, a scrap of a newspaper. It is a picture of a newspaper, much like the one we have today, from September 10th, which is approximately 9 days ago. Has a circled message for a friend and another, similar to the one we have today, a sequence of letters that are obviously a code of some kind that make no sense on their own. And what is that? I don't know, says Wiggins. It's a pair of wooden rings on which the alphabet is carved. The inner ring pivots on the base of the outer ring. Wiggins then heads to Novak's room. He was Dr. Jackson's patient, says O'Rourke. The same pieces of furniture can be found within, but whereas Smith's room seemed empty, Novak's room is full of various objects. An easel holding a canvas is in the middle of the room. Pots of paint cover the table and the shelves. More canvases and brushes are scattered throughout the room. We'd almost believe ourselves to be in a bohemian painter's workshop. Wiggins examines the paintings for a few minutes. Look, these paintings all represent the same young lady. There's at least 20 paintings. Wiggins quickly searches the room. He notices a painting decorated with black cloth. It's her. There's writing on the picture. With all my love, Stephanie. There are a few books of romantic poetry. I don't see any clothes. That's normal. Novak wore clothing furnished by the hospital. We really need to go see Pretorius now. O'Rourke brings us back along several corridors to Dr. Pretorius' office. Our meeting with him is short and allows us to learn very little.
Interesting.
A lot going on.
Indeed. Got this picture.
Any luck with the code?
Well,
No.
They did say that the inner ring pivots.
Yeah, I think we need to almost like bust this out into something that we can actually.
The day.
We can.
They circled the day, 10. Maybe on September 10th the code is 10 ahead, and maybe on today, September 19th, the code is off by 19.
Maybe.
That's the only, and it does actually match up 1-to-1 if you were to be careful with it.
Yes.
I think.
So we need to be able to rotate it, essentially.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. So if we have this, let's say,
Well, do we think this is the default position, I guess?
well, the A's match up,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I would
so I'd
assume
say
so.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
So then if you rotated it 19 that way, you'd get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
I'll try and do
Yeah, we'll
this
start
with
with 10.
Yeah.
Let's see.
also like write them out on like strips
13,
of paper
14,
that I didn't
15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
This is sure to be an exciting few minutes of
Yes.
streaming content for her.
Polo, get in here.
This doesn't work unless I space them out evenly. Darn it. Frizzy wine paper. Here we go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now you're
Then
thinking.
I'm gonna need scissors.
Now you're thinking inside the box. Well, I have a preponderance of scissors. Don't you worry.
Or at least this will help part of it.
Nope.
I tried this earlier and I forgot a letter of the alphabet twice in a row.
10 clockwise and 10 counterclockwise don't seem to be helping me with,
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what I was doing too.
with that code. Certainly could just be straight up, could it? No, straight up makes even less sense.
AOE PCT.
I do notice there's WU in here.
Yes.
That should be an easy one to translate. There just aren't that many options for a two-letter word.
Yeah, the one on the paper has a ton of two-letter words in it.
Including two which end in the same letter, which I
Yes,
thought
right.
was maybe an O. BRYLVD CNX UWMS.
So I've got this, and this helps.
Oh, certainly. Mm-hmm.
Be able to do that.
Nice.
Unfortunately, the bottom half is like down here. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't have to move it around like this.
Well, let's look at these. Let's get these. We've got two. From the 10th, we have some two-letter words, and we have some from the 19th. If we figure out one of those, we should be good.
But shouldn't the XU should be like next to itself, right?
Here are some decoder strips. I would like to try using these.
TB and DB. Huh? Oh, sorry.
There was also like OBB, I think, right, in this one. I was thinking.
OBB, yeah.
Oh.
Maybe
All?
E's or
All?
L's, yeah.
Well, let's see if, I guess it
Also, get out the scissors.
Yes.
Oh, you told me there's a preponderance of them.
Yes, there's quite a. Definitely not in there. I think in the arts and crafts box in the dining room table.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what was over here.
Polyphony.
Do this properly. Power tiny tape. Everyone watching it, everyone listening in Twitch chat, you can make your own decoder thing.
Welcome to our ASMR code cracking stream. Just let yourself be taken away.
Oh man, I thought they took that Metroid fan game down.
nice.
Well, Although maybe the cryptographic notice people would actually be able to help us figure out how to use this thing. That might be a piece of information we're just missing.
Oh, absolutely.
That's true.
Why don't we visit the cryptologist? Or not? They're not necessarily cryptologists. They're just purveyors of a cryptographic machine.
This is almost a machine part. Where are they at?
They are at 20 Charing Cross.
Okay, it's definitely not my turn to read for a while.
No, I think not. 20 Charing Cross. Someone help me pinpoint. Perhaps that's
Charing Cross.
not it. That's not it.
We looked it up before. Oh, 20s. No.
Getting closer.
Possibly on the West End? Or East End?
That's better.
Not it. Which means it must be
Not there.
Charing Cross Station. Perfect.
Oh, station. I was looking for the street.
Yeah, me too.
Let's see this for a bit.
I hope I made those right. I'm sorry if I messed them
And
up.
which section is it? 20
WC.
20 WC.
Crafting.
Enter, gentlemen, enter. I'm Hugh Forrester. How can I be of use to you on this beautiful day? This exuberant greeting comes from an almost entirely bald man in his 40s. You came for the marvelous cryptograph from Eureka, didn't you? Actually, yes. It's the object of our visit.
You're marvelous.
We have here a coded message from the newspaper, and we were wondering if this machine could decipher it. Of course! Let me see your message! However, I need to remind you that the point of the cryptographic machine by Eureka isn't to decrypt other people's messages, but to guarantee your secrets. It can't decrypt messages which haven't been encoded with a similar machine. We show Mr. Forrester our coded message. His head bobs left to right as he goes over our message. That's what I thought, he says as he hands the paper back to Wiggins. It's not a Eureka cryptogram. I'm sorry, but our machine can't decrypt it. Thank you for having taken the time to try to help us.
Yeah, it makes sense. Okay.
Perhaps this paper cryptogram will help.
Maybe. What was the address for the Bethlehem Asylum again?
28 Southeast.
Thank you.
It's actually almost safe to have that open to that because there's almost nothing else on that page because it takes up so much.
The briefcase has a label from the Cunard Company. Perhaps that'd be worth following up on.
The briefcase label's one thing, but there was some stuff in it that also had some names we couldn't check out that might be
Maybe.
accurate.
Those seem to be nom de plumes is the thing.
True.
Hmm.
Let's see.
Hmm. There's also this Dr. Jackson we could speak to.
Actually thinking if this guy was committed, there might be records as to why.
Yes, that's a very good point.
It was
There's-
oh, it's probably here.
Yep.
He was a records guy. That would be legal and criminal documents would be Disraeli O'Brien. Does that seem right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Where?
Oh, sorry. 14 WC.
14 WC. Criminal archives are closed today. Hmm. Hmm.
Can you see the main thing again?
Sure.
There's a lot to take in on that page. It's 28. So. Although it's interesting to note that O'Rourke's account of the prisoners, actually, not prisoners, but escapees, differs notably from the newspaper's account, which insists that he is not dangerous.
Yeah.
He clearly believes not only that he is dangerous, it also sounds like the report given to the coroner did not match what O'Rourke thinks happened. O'Rourke seemed pretty clear that the guy was killed by the inmate,
Yeah.
but Meeks seemed to think that he'd been told that it was a epileptic thing, and that was not the case.
Yeah, kind of weird.
These sizes aren't consistent enough. I don't think I made this in well enough.
Oh no.
It's okay.
Oh, but you got the spreadsheet.
I do have a spreadsheet.
That should probably work better.
It allows for some quick manipulation of data. So this one from today, which is the 19th.
Yeah, I feel like we should be able to solve this guy.
Yeah.
I don't think we need more information to solve it.
Yeah, I agree. I think we just need to
Get these puzzles.
I think this TBDB here is going to be key to it.
I was just looking at that.
Like that could be
It and on?
In on, like something's in on.
in on. So thinking that maybe we turn this such that the B matches up with the N. That gets us NN. Nope, I've done that wrong. I've done it very badly. Sorry, everyone. I don't know my alphabet, which is an important element for cryptographic deciphering. Okay, so BN, which would give us T as K, which already is not looking great.
That's
And then
unlikely.
D as U.
Kanun. Yeah.
Not as great.
But, however, N is 19 away from the B on the, like if you count clockwise around here.
Oh, I see.
And the date is the 19th or whatever. But, so T. Yeah, but yeah, it gets K, so.
Right. Yeah.
Can you do it the other way? Turn this one?
Yeah, I tried that before,
Oh.
but so if we do it that way, we get this goes here. Nope. This goes here. So then B equals N, but then T equals K again.
Again.
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah, it's the same.
Yeah,
Interesting.
right?
Yeah,
Unless I've lined that up incorrectly.
I think so. And if we turn it well, I guess it doesn't matter which way we're turning it because we're matching.
No, it does, because they're not in order.
Well, I mean, if we're going to end up with B at N, it doesn't matter how we got to B at
No,
N.
yes, you're right. Okay.
So B might not be N.
All right, well, what else could it be?
If of.
If
If
of.
of.
If of, okay.
Is as.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
so let's try B equals F.
Okay.
B equals F. T equals P.
What's the other one, just in case?
D equals B.
No. Well, we're running out of them.
S.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Do we do B as T? It at?
not yet. No.
Okay.
B as S gives us T equals V, and D equals O. So not that, I think.
And what was the one you just said?
It at, so B is T.
B is T. T is W. D is I.
How mysterious.
Let me see this one again. Is there anything else that could help us with those letters? Like another short word? T, D, D.
There's an IC at the start of a sentence.
B shows up fairly regularly. It feels like a vowel.
Yeah, B should be a vowel.
Well,
Hmm.
we've...
Maybe the spacing is wrong. Or maybe the space is a character. No.
The only thing he had was the dial, so I feel like the dial and whatever he had in his head was enough to get this for him.
I just wonder if there's something further.
Try it as O.
Didn't we do this?
Is that B is O? I don't think so.
B is O. T is Z.
No, we definitely didn't do that because
D is P.
Try other vowels would be my guess at this point.
It could be something like he does it and then takes those letters and then rotates them or whatever.
Maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. We're definitely being pointed in the direction of this object. Like we've got the thing with which they created their message, or with which they undid this other message.
Could we perhaps...
Can I look at this version?
Could we speak to Dr. Jackson just to break up the action a bit?
Sure, yeah.
That's...
What's the address?
64 EC. Can I get that when you're done, Brandon?
Yeah. I noticed something else here.
What's that?
That's interesting. They both start off with these two.
Sorry,
they both,
just short words.
well, they're 6 letters apiece, and they have a period after them.
Mhm.
I wonder if that's like I assume that
So you think they're the same words?
these are the same.
So
That's going to be my crazy theory.
Interesting.
is N like G plus 9? Because 10th and 19th.
Ah, you know what? I think you're right. This has the same letter as the second and fifth letters, as does this.
What's the first letter of each message?
G,
G on the 19th.
and then N here on the
How
10th.
far apart are those on the dial?
Like
7.
Yeah.
7.
And then the next letter is V here and I there. Those are not the same distance apart.
Wait, let's see. G is the 7th letter of the alphabet. What was the other letter? They start
N.
with N. N is J, K, L, M, 14. So they're 7 apart in the real alphabet too.
Well, no, that wasn't the real alphabet. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, well, how far apart are they on the other thing?
Okay, I'm getting it. Okay, so G and what N?
N, yeah. How far are they apart on the other one?
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 10. And then, but on the alternate alphabet, we have an I and a V. And that does match.
It does.
Yes, I and V are 10 squares apart on the other alphabet.
I'm sorry, a little confused on If we're comparing the 2 different days, it should be 9 apart, right?
Well, no, I'm saying that this, like N and V, or hang on. Oh, I forgot what I was doing. I just remembered that we're the difference between. Oh, you're right. G and N.
Yeah, if we're
doesn't actually matter.
Yeah, if we were comparing these 2, it should have been 9
So
apart.
it seems like it's like turning maybe after every letter. Like
So I should be looking.
if the distance is changing, right?
I feel like they needed to give us that thing as a prop. Granted, it would have made the game cost like $20 more.
Yeah.
I feel like I've got a pretty good simulacrum
Yeah,
here.
we
Yeah,
do.
that's
we
true.
do.
That's true.
This is lesson 19.
You know what actually might help?
Mm.
Copy and paste this column like a few times after each other so that it's more like a wheel and we can just move this one into position next to it. Just have it loop around. So like copy it right,
Oh, I
right
see.
after itself, and then all I have to do is adjust this one.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 should be enough. Interesting that 3 vowels are right at the start of it. AOE.
N V N V W M V O.
Yeah, that very beginning part with the 2 periods. I'm not sure if that's supposed to mean anything, or if those are going to turn into real words, or if those are designed to basically.
I feel like it's probably like a telegram and has a very clipped kind of delivery.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be very incomplete sentences and as straight to the point as
Yes.
possible. Weird idea. Line up the 2 B's.
The 2 V's?
The 2 B's, sorry.
The 2 B's.
Yeah.
I'm always willing to put some B's in cahoots with each other. Excuse me.
Oh, it's off by 1.
Yes, I know.
Okay, there we go. And then 19 down from that is Q. That's no help.
OQ.
Super quiet? No, I had no idea. Maybe. I'd messed with some, I mean, granted, we have been mumbling for like the past 20 minutes. I made a few volume adjustments to try and get rid of the pervasive hum that our recordings would sometimes have, but... No, don't add more hum. That's no good.
I've heard the white noise of a pencil sharpener can sometimes cancel out.
It's ruining my life. No, right now we're trying to crack this dang, like, literal, like, Rote 13 code, except it's not Rote 13, it's just gobbledygook with a rotation added in.
If we could just crack 1 letter even, we would probably be...
Well, cracking 1 letter isn't a problem. Cracking the second letter is the real difficulty.
Yeah, I guess if we crack one of these 2-letter words, we've got it. I feel like if we attack those, we'll figure out something.
It does seem like we should try and just match up the first word or something
I mean,
of each.
I want to go through the vowels on B, even though the ones that don't necessarily make sense, because I mean, it has to be a vowel. B must be a vowel. Absolutely. Well,
Okay,
that,
well,
or, it
hang
could,
on.
or one of the things we checked already.
It can't be B.
No.
It can't be C.
Mhm.
It can't be D. It could be E. Well, we tried F. It can't be G.
Yeah.
It can't be H. Couldn't be I. Can't be J. Can't be K. Can't be L. This is good content.
Yeah.
Can it be M? The answer is no, I don't think.
Could be N. But we checked
We
N.
checked N first.
Yeah.
We checked O also. It can't be P.
Could be S.
We checked S,
We
didn't
checked
we?
this.
We
Yeah.
didn't check E, did we?
Did we not? Maybe. Let's check it.
We checked T, right?
I think we checked E.
Yeah, we checked.
So if B equals E, then T equals N, and D equals C, which is no good. If we try and do it the other way around, with
B is M. Oh no, I haven't moved again.
2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, one more. Okay, and that one, B equals E. T equals...
T is J. Oh, T we're looking for. T is...
T is W. We. That's a word.
Yeah.
One.
Alright, be careful.
But
And
the other
then
one.
D equals J.
We
Ah,
French.
we're so close.
French.
Luigi.
I don't feel we didn't do this back and forth on both sides of the dial for some of these other letters.
No, I don't think we
Yeah,
did.
let's-
S. Let's try S. Internet, you're so difficult. Close. Okay, if B equals S, then T equals K. And
Kill steal.
D equals Y. Ah!
Yes.
Alright, let's break up the action and go visit Mr. Jackson.
Alright.
I think it's still my turn.
It is.
That's 64 EC.
Go for it.
Yes, serving Novak is my patient. Do you know where he is? No, not yet. Could you tell us, what can you tell us about him? Oh, sad story. A young man who had the world before him. Then his world crashed down around him. He had family disputes due to his marriage. He abandoned his career in the family business. Married against the wishes of his parents. He made up with his mother, but his wife died around that time. It tipped him over. How did she die? She fell ill and died in a few days. Irving never accepted her death. He started isolating himself in an imaginary world. He accused his stepfather. Very dangerous. He was committed. Is he dangerous? Only to himself. He tried to commit suicide. Suicide! Yes, his stepfather prevented him. He saved his life. Irving never admitted it. Classic paranoid delusion. Paranoid? Yes. It's a form of neuropsychiatric mental instability. The patient is affected by a persecution syndrome. In his case, he was sure that his stepfather wanted to kill him. Other than that, the behavior of a paranoid person can seem normal. The prognosis with this kind of illness is rather unfavorable. Do you think there could be a link to Mr. Telbin's death? Who was Mr. Telbin?
I'm this is, if you count 10 from the one from the 10th, it's translating to the one from the 19th.
What?
Yeah, so I do like N on the inner ring, and then I'm counting backwards 10, because you would have turned
This is
it.
what I was seeing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's translating into this other message.
So it's...
Uh,
wait, it's not the same message, though.
Well, but it's the first two.
Yeah, the first two words.
Yeah, the
are,
first
yeah.
two words I'm sure are the same.
So then...
But then can we work backwards from that?
minus 10 on the original message should do it, then.
Yeah, assuming that pattern is correct. So wait, do we just need to go backwards 10?
Sure, let's try it.
There, and then. So I've been moving the outer ring, which is the real alphabet, to the right, I guess. So, do we want to move this the other way? Did I somehow lose a dang letter? Z, F, G, H, I, J, K,
That's
L,
correct.
M, N.
No, I don't see W. You did lose a letter.
That cursed W. It's eluded me for the last time. Okay, so. Well, Lobos, you're the one that's cracked this. How do you rotate it back? What's the what's the first letter if you rotate it backwards 10?
Well, I'm doing NVWNVO, right? That
Right.
word.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you go backwards 10, it translates into this word.
Okay.
Gibriv.
And then if you rotate back another 10, what is it?
From Gibriv?
Yeah.
Wait,
Wait.
Gibrith is from the 19th.
Yeah.
Should have been an advance of 9 to translate one from the other since it's the 10th and the 19th, I would have thought. But I mean, if it works, it works.
That's not really making sense. That's gibberish. Well, I can.
We can transform from one message to the other, but we still don't know how to get to words.
Yeah.
But that is still very useful.
Indeed.
Was there any sort of message before this? Was there like something written?
Just the stuff in the papers. Do we want to speak to Irving's family, perhaps, and discover why on earth he wanted to break out? Is the Dr. Jackson's entry seemed to indicate that he thought he was getting better?
Maybe. But I mean, I'm not mindful of the need to look into something for the stream's benefit, but I feel like the code is where everything is at this point.
That's fair. I think that people can continue working on the code while we pursue leads.
Fair
I
enough.
can't concentrate on both.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Well,
Yeah.
I'm happy to read if you don't want to.
Well, I mean, I can read. I just won't be any.
Oh no, I wouldn't expect you to concentrate on the code while you're reading.
Right.
But stepfather, Henry Irving, I assume, is at 50 WC.
Wait, no. What C?
50.
Uh,
50.
which C?
WC.
WC. And he's not here.
Irving was the last name of this guy, right?
There's no 50 WC.
Irby, you've got the list
Yes.
of like all the information.
Yeah, I was thinking about the code.
Irving is the name of the guy that busted out and killed Smith.
Yes. That was in the newspaper, not the list of thingies, but
Well, we just went to Bethlehem.
yeah.
No, Irving is his first name. Novak is his last
Oh,
name. Novak. Well, he lives at 70 Northwest. That's not a bad place to try.
Yeah.
Maybe he went home. Did all of his murdering there.
We have some information here. No one answers when we knock on Irving Novak's apartment door. Wiggins turns the handle. The door isn't locked. Accepting this implicit invitation, we enter the apartment.
Is that how that works?
The rooms are large and well furnished. All of the curtains are closed, and the room is cold and damp, as if it hasn't been used in a while. Come see this, shouts Wiggins from the bedroom. He holds in his hands a pair of trousers and a white shirt, the sort of clothes one would wear in an asylum. It was there, and look at that, says Wiggins while pointing to the immense portrait of a young lady ornamenting the top of the fireplace. Her golden frame is covered by a black crepe veil. It looks like the same woman as in the drawings at the asylum. Other images, pictures, and drawings of the same woman are scattered throughout the apartment. There are no traces of Novak's presence. I'm assuming that's his...
The wife that died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something here.
Look it up. 28. What you looking up, Herbie?
The code again.
Oh.
Sorry, nothing
So-
new and exciting.
What you need is a smartphone.
Yeah.
So the thing that I found is, all it is counting just on one circle, just the inner circle. The 10 away becomes, like, so there's 10 difference between the two codes.
Even though they're
When it
9
should
days
be
apart.
9. But, oh yeah, yeah, that's what I was looking for. So maybe this is just saying that the next one will be 10
Ah, maybe, yeah.
different.
10 off from that.
You know, here's an idea. They're in the paper. Why don't we go ask the paper if they know who listed these advertisements?
It's fair.
Yeah.
The Times is at 30 EC.
That would be...
30 EC?
Yeah.
That's Mr. Ellis, who isn't here today.
Ah.
Rip.
Fiddlesticks. That's what I say when I lose a board game. Well, at the risk of seeming to want to pursue other things, we found this man's place of employment and certainly some other plotting. But there are other leads. There's the name on the briefcase, the manufacturer,
Yep.
which we know is usually a pretty decent lead here in foggy London town. We could try and follow up on either of those probably false names on the passports. We could also try and get a little bit more information on Johnny himself at the White Hart where they were playing darts.
With his buddies.
Yeah. Given our success in the past with hitting up merchants, I think maybe following up the luggage company might be a good idea.
Okay, and the Cunard Company?
Yeah.
Where are they at?
Lobos, does that sound good to you?
Sure.
The Cunard line office is 83 EC.
Here's your information, sir. Jose Luis Fuentes arrived on September 13th on the Brooms de Madeira, traveling from Cadiz in Spain. The luggage was delivered to the Mexborough Hotel. Is that all you wanted to know, gentlemen? Yes, thank you, Wiggins. Slips a shilling in the young man's hand. Mexborough Hotel.
Yes. Let's figure out how it got into an asylum. The Mexborough is at 76 EC.
I'm not about to forget Jose Fuentes, I can tell you that much. Jack Tar's answer to Wiggins' question sounds like a threat. When I left the yard to become a detective in this hotel, I would have never thought.
How have we met so many hotel detectives? I want that job.
He said, I would have never thought I'd see a shootout here. What happened? Fuentes was in room 414 on the 4th floor. It was 9 o'clock at night when it started. When I got there wasn't much left. No bodies, no Fuentes. The door to his room...
He got shot to pieces.
The door to his room had been destroyed, and the other clients had hidden in their own rooms. From what I was able to learn, 2 or 3 armed men came up the stairs and broke down the door to Fuentes' room. Apparently he was expecting their visit because Fuentes greeted them with a hail of bullets. Then the stories differ. We don't know if Fuentes fled by the window or by the corridor. In any case, by the time I got there 3 or 4 minutes later, it was over. No one in the room, no one in the corridor. Good riddance if you want to know what I think.
Wonder if he decided to hide out as a loony bin patient.
Maybe.
Perhaps a Mr. Smith.
It's a very not named name.
Maybe.
Although it doesn't follow the Sherlock rule of being anywhere near his actual name. Wait, Jose. John?
Yes. Suddenly, the foreign affairs informants seem a little bit more interesting.
Indeed.
Is there some criminal from abroad staying here in London?
Well, it's Henry Ellis. He's the foreign affairs guy who's not there.
Oh, I thought there was some other guy.
There is.
Alas.
No, he's the only one for that.
Okay.
Although now Porky Shinwell actually starts to look better.
Yeah! Everyone loves Porky. He should have his own theme song.
I know a good one I can find for you and send to you for next time.
Well, it's your turn to
Oh, yes.
visit the Pig Lord, I think.
Okay. 52 EC.
Yes.
Let's see, what is this? Oh, here we go. Yeah, I heard about the murder in front of Holmes's house, says Porky while pouring us a pint. Oh, really? Wiggins asks as he sips his drink.
Nope.
Yeah, a buddy of mine who works at the printers brought me tomorrow's paper in advance. So? I don't know much about it. However, for the dead man at Bedlam, that's another story. I saw the name of Dr. Imhoff. Doesn't that ring a bell, guys? I don't think so, says Wiggins. We agree. There are a number of rumors saying that he helps the London underworld. They're only rumors, sure, but I'm sure that Holmes knows the man somewhat, at least by name. This case is getting more complicated with each new lead, Porky, says Wiggins with a discouraged tone. I can see you're busy, but if you have the time, I'd like a bit of help. What about? I got a telegram from the wife of a man I knew in prison, Dick Egghead Anchor. He hasn't come back home since Thursday or Friday. There are some men for whom it wouldn't mean anything, but Dickie cares about his family. I promised his wife that I'd see what I could find out. I'll see what I can do.
Did Porky just give us another quest?
Yep.
I love it. But we've got to help him out.
So who is that there?
Dick the Egghead Anchor.
So that's probably the dead man.
Which one?
The one who has an egghead.
Oh, the first,
Smith.
the Smith.
That's Mr. Smith.
Hasn't come home since Thursday or Friday. That matches. Although he's been in the asylum for some amount of time.
May I?
Supposedly. Yeah, go ahead. Of course, bald people aren't a rarity.
That's true.
They're
That's
more
true.
uncommon these
But this
back
guy
in
was-
these times.
But this guy, like, he was like radiant. We can look back at the other corner.
Yeah. Well, I want to look back at this.
See the strips.
Yeah. Well, now we're getting into the question of identity.
Like, what did this? It's one thing to like get yourself arrested to hide out, but this guy was literally like in isolation in a mental asylum.
Yeah. And yet, he had all this stuff somehow.
Where is Meeks again? Is it 22 Southwest?
38 EC.
38 EC. How did I get that so wrong?
Well, 22 is Murray, which
That's
is the other one we visit almost every time.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry, those don't exactly line up. Unfortunately, I was not able to replicate it.
I've examined the body of Mr. Smith. I don't like what I saw. He died of a rupture of cervical vertebra. Pretorius claims it happened during an epileptic fit. Hard to believe. The inside of his mouth isn't ravaged the way an epileptic's mouth is. and his brain showed none of the signs usually linked to epilepsy. Unveils the body. Light from the morgue is reflected on his bald head, almost giving him the appearance of being alive. Death was caused by a powerful blow to the head. Yes. Well. You said you had a lead.
Did?
You said when you were writing down Porky, you said you would have a lead from me.
I must have been misunderstood then.
Oh no!
Well,
Yes?
I managed to link two different, like, two-letter words from each message.
Okay.
I found that, yeah. If we could find, I don't know. I'm just working piece by piece. But VR in the first message is IC in the second message, which is a two-letter word, which if we could narrow down that, then we can figure out the link between both.
Okay.
So we can figure in either of them, then we could. But I guess that's the same as having the first two words be the same.
Oh man, that political stuff feels so far away now. Well, other than the bonds that were in that briefcase, right?
Yeah, there's a bunch of bonds in there. A fortune.
No, it can't be. Can't be. Make sure I didn't miscount.
Can I take a picture of
Of which?
the other page? I want to see what other details are around the insane asylum. In that article.
Yes. This other name that Porky mentioned, Imhoff. Doesn't that ring a bell, guys? I don't think so, says Wiggins. We agree.
Imhoff.
Imhoff.
Which paper was the incident where we went to the...
I got excited briefly because I noticed when you line up B on both of them and go 19 in a certain direction, you get N, which was briefly exciting until I repeated the exercise with D and got S.
Sorry.
That's okay.
What a puzzle.
And the last one of these they gave us was a
Excuse me.
brain wrecker too, if I remember right.
Well,
The Moriarty one.
Rodolfo Leopis. The great Spanish bandit responsible for the bankruptcy of European banks. The troubles reported in these pages of the Crédit General de Paris and of the Nuevo Banco de Madeira are due to a Machiavellian plan conceived of and executed by a continental underworld organization. This plan of international reach, which consists of looting the gold reserves of the banks, has come from the mind of Rodolfo Leopis, a Spanish criminal who is wanted by the police on both sides of the channel. Leopis has a thick police file in Spain and is known to be an acquaintance of other criminals in Europe, notably in France. The Spanish authorities believe that Leopis has fled the country, but have given no clarification as to his possible location. The French authorities are also searching for him, and have announced their desire to extradite him if he is ever captured.
possible if these messages are in Spanish?
Well, we would never have any hope of figuring them out, probably, unless we happen to know Spanish, which wouldn't be a very common
Good
thing.
clue, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not confident enough in my comprende to really process it, I think.
Yeah.
No, that's fair. You know, that was just a thought that occurred.
Okay.
Well, there are two words here that both the other one wrong.
Did we look up the Cunard Company?
Yes, they were the ones that directed us to the hotel.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
The,
All right.
the Cunard Line Company. That's a shipping transport company that you can also like book passage on. All right, let's consider what we know here.
Boys, there are a lot of them.
There is a lot of it. Let's start with this guy Smith, who we think might also be this guy Egghead. Has a briefcase with a passport for a international bank criminal,
Yes.
and this guy that was supposedly in a firefight in a hotel just a few days earlier, along with a ton of bearer bonds.
Do we really think Egghead is this guy?
I think that that's worth confirming before we make that absolutely the case.
I would want to confirm that.
Brandon, is it your turn to read? Whose turn is it to read?
I think so.
I think it's your turn.
It might be my turn.
Why don't we investigate the home of Monsieur Anchor? Dick Anchor. 41 Southeast, my good man.
41 in the southeast.
What have you missed? We've been, I mean, we've been, there's a lot of information and a lot of us staring at a puzzle with alphabets. What do you got for us?
All right.
Well, now we've been given a side quest by our criminal contact to check on the home of one Dick Anchor.
Oh, I know that Dickie ain't a saint, but he's always been good with me and the kids. No tears roll down from the eyes of Dick Anchor's widow, nor from the eyes of the two children clinging to her skirt. All of their tears have already been shed long ago. I told the police that he left with Bobby on Thursday, and that I hadn't seen him since. Who's Bobby? I think his last name's Lane, but I'm not sure. Who did Dick work for? Didn't really have a job. He'd do odd work here or there. He spent too much time at the White Eagle. He drank too much to keep a job, but he'd always manage to find a way to provide for us. The tears finally pool in their eyes of the three family members. So...
The White Eagle? Yes. That's at a place.
So he's confirmed dead, I guess.
I thought she seemed to imply that he skipped town.
Dick Anchor's widow.
Oh. 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 Well, the White Eagle's at 50 Southeast.
You want to take this one, or is that one short enough?
You can do another one.
Okay. At 50 Southeast. Yeah, I know Porky. His friends are my friends. What do you want? Peter Tate, the owner of the White Eagle, serves each of us a beer. What do you know about Dick Anchor? Dickie? He's not a bad sort, but he always hangs out with the wrong people. Like who? Well, Bobby Lane for a start, and Billy Slack. Now him, he's a real piece of work. I've seen him with Max Big Nose. Max Big Nose? Yeah, he's a fence. What's his real name? I don't know, he's German. When did you see Anchor for the last time? I'd say last Thursday. He was with Lane that night.
So, as a point of order, we're at 24 leads, and that seems like a lot of
Good.
leads to burn on. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm more concerned with solving the mystery than getting points.
That is fair.
That's fair, but I feel like the stubbornly effective code is probably still our.
Yeah, I really don't want to know these stupid coded messages.
Well, if there's anything, so the dude's name Leopis or whatever, like
Yes.
that could theoretically be the first word.
Oh, it
What
could
is-
be. It
Because
could
it's got
be.
two the last name like with
Leopis.
Leopis
Yeah.
is his name, but I can't remember his first name.
Rodolfo.
Rodolfo Leopis.
Spell Leopis for me.
Liopis.
P-I-S. Yeah.
Liopis. That's I, but I's are in here too. The I's match up in the 19th message. There are I's for the 2nd and 5th letters.
Maybe they happen to line up in that particular.
Yeah.
arrangement.
Okay. Well, that would make B O.
Let's spreadsheet it.
Yeah, let's do that.
That would make B an O, which does fit what else we believe.
And maybe not all of the words in the message make sense.
Maybe the second one is Fuente.
Well, it's too long because it's Fuentes right now.
Oh, you're
Oh, dang it.
SZ or something.
Dang it.
So going from those letters, let me see what else we get.
Okay, here's I and I. G is L.
Mm-hmm.
That would line up, right?
Yeah.
B is O.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
R.
D is T, notably.
Where is it? Where's R?
I
T
actually
is
There it
T.
is,
Yeah,
P.
This
It's P.
works.
This
is
is
the-
it.
This is the code.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Good work. So the first one is Leo piece, and then is it? Boo, 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 boo. Yes. B E W. Beware. S. Yes. L. Yeah, I think this is beware. And then Q is H. I. We know that. D is D. Hide. P. Hide out.
Hide out.
Hide out. Alright, just really quick. D is T, which means R is P. P's are E's. B's are O's. S is A. Okay. F is M. W is Y. Hideout may be no. No if?
Known?
No, it's six letters.
From which paper?
So this is from today's paper.
Yeah, it's on 6 letters in today's paper.
What is it?
JKBXK.
Oh, I wrote K and I was reading it as IC. So yes, known. Hideout may be known. What are I's are I's and C's? Have we done C yet? C is if. If
Pursued?
Problem.
If problem go to
Problem go. V is S.
Yes, we did. Darn it, go to.
Do also.
Seven go to 7.
there was another word in the paper that you've got it there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
N. X is new. O is is. I'm sorry for hogging it. I've just
No
No,
worries.
no.
You're getting it.
nuke
Nuka
F is. Well, I mean, we all put it together. I think. New Komen. I think we need to find a street called New Komen.
That's near a 7. Here's Clifton Worship, and
7 New Komen. Lobos, I think it's your turn.
Okay.
Let's go.
7 South S.
South S.
Yeah.
Southeast. Okay.
Southest. The southest of these.
7.
Hashtag dicks for kids.
7 Southeast. Mrs. Jetley's flop house.
Jet Li.
Mrs. Jetley.
Okay.
Jetley.
Gently.
Jetley.
Okay.
Mrs. Jetley's flop house is located in a neighborhood circled in black on the London Sociological Map by Charles Booth. The glares of the petty criminals and other crooks looking at us as we make our way through the dark alleys make it clear that we're not welcome here. Once we arrive, Wiggins pulls out his 4-shot Brandolin from his pocket, goes up a narrow stairway. There's only one door on the landing. We approach as quietly as possible. Wiggins then gives the door a violent kick. We follow Wiggins, who rushes into the room, pistol in hand. "Don't move!" shouts Wiggins to a man lying on a mat. A quick glance in the room allows us to see that he's alone. "Leopis?" demands Wiggins, pointing at the man with his pistol. A grimacing grin lights up Leopis's unshaven face. His cold and black eyes fixate on Wiggins' pistol. "Who sent you? The French?" Disdain can be felt in his question, despite I told you he was French. Despite his thick accent. Before Wiggins can even utter a word, Leopis raises his arm and tosses a knife at Wiggins' heart,
What?
who drops to the ground and fires. The knife stops, shuddering in the door, and Wiggins' 2 shots hit Leopis squarely in the chest. Wiggins gets back up slowly, his weapon still pointed at the Spaniard's inert body. He brings 2 fingers to the man's neck. He's dead. We should call the police. I'm already apprehensive about the talk we'll have with Lestrade.
Well, not only did we find the knifeman, we've already killed him.
That's efficient.
Good job.
So were the messages exactly the same?
No,
they
no,
would
I
not.
think they-
No, so I'm trying to translate the other one
okay.
now.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see where that gets us.
Yeah.
We killed a man.
We did. Well, Wiggins
Wiggins
killed
did.
him, man.
We just watched. We're just
We
like,
helped.
"Oh."
This is definitely our "we just killed a man" music. Polo, we just killed a man.
Oh goodness. So,
Yes.
can I see the 2 papers? There's something I want to.
Well, there's one. Don't forget the one with Dick the dog in it.
Oh, of course. Yes.
Oh, maybe he was a cousin of yours.
Well, probably a grand cousin.
No, distant relative.
Probably a very grand cousin.
So I
Dogs don't
wonder-
live as long as us.
True.
The guy who brought the was probably may have been trying to bring the cryptographic message or whatever, and instead brought the obituary because he can't read.
Oh no!
And thus we solved this other murder for no reason.
Well, the banknotes, though.
No, you're right. It might all be connected still. I can't rule the possibility out that this is all one big kooky conspiracy.
Leopis Danger is the start of the message from the 10th.
Oh, interesting. So it wasn't the same second word.
On...
Oh, yeah. 'Cause there's duplicate.
A is R. J is... Have it. A. V is on train? No, on trail. Danger, on trail. If...
Oh, wow.
I'm trying to eat me.
You can't help it.
Bye, Bolo. Oh, hello again. Welcome back. It's like you never left. Such a good pillow. Such a good doggy.
If problems. See.
Oh. Nothing.
Imhoff.
Imhoff at
Bethlehem.
Bethlehem.
So yeah, he went into the asylum and
Probably see Imhoff at Bethlehem, who was.
Which one was Imhoff? There's so many names.
the underground assisting doctor.
Okay.
So he went to see the doctor of underground connections. He gets put in the asylum.
Okay. Then he finds out that they're too close and he needs to escape.
Well, did he? No, he found that out, but he wasn't the one who escaped though, was he? He was the one who died.
Who? Leopas?
No, the guy who had this in his cell. Wasn't that the non-painter dude?
But that wasn't Leopas.
No, clearly not, because we just killed him. We did that all by ourselves.
Right.
So he was talking to his other buddy, Jose.
Fuentes.
Yeah, Fuentes. So Fuentes goes into the asylum under the name John Smith.
Okay.
He gets the message, but Irving breaks out and kills him, or at least that's what we think happened.
Well, wait, why would Fuentes get the message? These are addressed to Leopas. Leopas wouldn't give himself messages.
Okay, true. So he was sending messages from there.
I don't know who was sending the messages at this
Yeah,
point. I don't think we have enough information about that.
No, it's
Well, let's trace Leopas's movements.
okay.
He arrives here from. What if he is just Fuentes? What if that's just one of his names?
Possible. There are two passports, but that doesn't mean two people.
Right.
Where did we learn about them the most?
They
Here?
were
Oh.
in.
Oh, passports under the name. I
Right.
see. I see. In one briefcase.
Right.
It could be one person, yeah.
Right. So he goes inside.
Yep.
Or Fuentes could be a alias for the other guy who got killed.
Smith.
Yeah. Although, yeah, keep going. Sorry.
Can I see that entry, please? Okay.
Yeah, one of them was specifically a patient of Imhoff. That would be good to know.
Right. Okay. Irving broke out. The other one, John Smith, died. Somewhere, Dr. Imhoff asked Hanley for someone to help the driver. Okay, excuse me. No. Let me just reread this. One of the detainees, Irving Novak, broke out, and another, John Smith, died. What's the link between Johnny and these events? None so far as I know. Johnny Dumont works in reception. He wasn't there until the breakout and only heard about it when it was discovered. But he went with the body to St. Bart's morgue. Why? Dr. Imhoff asked Hanley for someone to help the driver. As Johnny was ending his shift, Hanley picked him. Who's Hanley? Angus Hanley. He's charged the night shift.
I'll bless you again.
Oh my gosh.
That's here.
Gross. Okay.
He went with who to where? He went
To St. Bart's Hospital to take the bald body
Okay.
that we saw,
Okay.
who, as we understand, is just John Smith.
Or what if the quote-unquote... What if what they were actually transporting was not a dead body at all, but was, in fact, Leopas?
It's possible.
And that's why the description of how the doctors thought the body... The doctors were told that a body died of an epileptic seizure that was then transported out of the asylum.
Okay.
Then they go and find Baldman and clock him up the backside of the head and give that body to the morgue.
Oof.
That explains our missing man.
It does.
And it
And
also
give it-
and it also explains why our guy might be suspicious of them and think there's something that's up to no good. I've got to go tell Sherlock Holmes.
And given what's been going on, murdering a random guy to help make it smooth wouldn't be out of question. I mean, with the amount of money being flung around, presumably. I mean, they've already proven they're perfectly willing to kill people when they need to.
Did there seem to be a reason that all that stuff was left behind? Like, just there were.
That's true.
Yeah,
that
that's
argues very strongly against this being something that went according to plan.
Yeah,
That
if he
stuff
was
there.
getting out
Right.
deliberately, then he would have taken his stuff with him.
Correct.
Especially the money, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Unless he knew he was compromised, I guess. Yeah, but no, you're right. It still seems like too much of a rough.
They'd find some way to get the money out or kill people to make it work. So Novak?
So you're saying Novak is Leopas, or
No, Novak seems pretty clearly the crazy guy.
Yeah, he seems legit.
And he's
crazy. And he's not actually dangerous.
okay? And where's Leopas in all this?
I'm not sure. I can't
Is
place him.
Wait a minute. What if someone came to the asylum, a third party?
Okay.
They came to the asylum, and they were looking for Smith. They started at the first door, which, as we learned, was Novak's. Like, hey, is this
I
the
thought
guy?
the first door was Smith's.
Was it? Maybe it was.
Left wall contains 5 identical doors, each with a small opening. Carly noticed something suspicious. Noticed glass on the ground. We never figured out what that was. As he was leaning over to examine it, he was knocked out. 20 minutes later, when he regained his senses, his keys had disappeared and 2 doors were open. Irving Novak's room was empty. John Smith's body was in the other room. It was a mess. He had visibly struggled. And you think Novak killed Smith? I think so. He found a way to leave his room and attack Chester. But that doesn't make sense. If he already had a way to leave his room, then
Yeah,
why would he need
that's
to steal
what
another
I'm
set of
thinking. A
keys?
third party showed up at this place.
Yes, you're right.
And went looking
Someone was
for
going in.
Smith. And maybe the openings weren't small enough for them to see inside, or the light wasn't good or something, so they literally took the key. They had to get the keys. That was required.
What if... Okay, here's a thought. Leopas is on the run, and he's told they're closing in on you.
Yeah.
What if he didn't want his stuff? He was looking for a place to drop that stuff off. And so he knocks the guard out,
Yeah.
opens these 2 things, lets out one guy who's clearly crazy, opens the other one, kills Smith, hides his stuff in the room. Remember, it was hiding like in the shadows. Wiggins only barely saw it. Or no one can find it, and Impmov can collect it later, perhaps.
Yes.
There we go. There we go. I
And
like
then
that.
makes his escape.
Okay.
So Smith was just a coincidence in all this. And then Johnny helps transport the body, but then sees the report about
Can't read.
Irving.
You had to see something in the paper. What was it?
He saw something in this paper that made him want to take the obituary. Oh! He wasn't cutting out the
Leopas.
obituary. Look on the other side of the obituary.
It's the picture of him.
Yeah, it wasn't the obituary he cared about. He cared about this guy.
We can just flip the.
That's exactly what it is. Do we want to solve this mystery?
Yeah, I think so.
Brilliant.
Even Holmes didn't think it might be the picture on the back.
Oh,
although
he
I'm
solved
sure
it.
I'm
He
sure
solved
he
it
will.
days ago.
Yeah, I'm sure he will in the outro.
In a lead.
He didn't need to lead. Almost everything was in newspapers.
There were 5 questions in the first series.
Okay.
First question, who was killed in front of Holmes' house?
Johnny Dumont.
Dumont.
Yep.
Excuse me.
Johnny Dumont.
Yes. Why was he killed? Wait a minute. Who killed Johnny Dumont?
I'm pretty sure it was the guy, the main bad guy.
But how did he find out that this guy was going to Sherlock Holmes' house?
That is
Oh no.
Wait, do we want to stop?
He may well, he may
We
have
can
been-
review anything we've looked at,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
we've looked at almost everything.
I assume
We didn't go to the Dart Club.
No, but I don't.
I assume it was Leopis because he had the knife and he knew that he had
Can we-
the.
Can we go back to where we met Leopis? That was
Yes.
the White Eagle.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I don't.
Seven.
No, 70 SC, the Flophouse. That's right.
Yeah.
I want a description of Leopis, if possible.
Yeah. He must have known that he knew.
Here. You read it.
Description, let's see. Well, he did toss a knife.
Yeah.
How-
Was it-
how-
Oh, well.
Well,
But
how
then
tall
why
was
wasn't
he?
there a knife there?
I don't think it has any sort of description on him.
Oh.
It's just like, don't move, to a man lying on a mat.
Unshaven, I
He's-
thought.
He's alone, yes. Unshaven. Yep. Cold and black eyes. That's it.
Well, there's a small pool of blood around him at Sherlock's place. I mean, well, no, there was a scream. She heard a scream outside, so he clearly was stabbed pretty.
I mean, if he was following him, he probably could have disappeared into the fog pretty
Yes.
quickly.
Yeah. Just wish it mentioned his height because it said the stab was a downward
Yeah.
stroke, and this guy was 6 feet tall himself. Johnny was, so it'd have to be a very tall fellow to.
We haven't even seen that doctor in question. So if it's him, we don't really have info about that.
I think Leopis is probably our best bet.
Yeah,
We goofed.
we did.
But
Sorry.
we know so much else.
We did. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah,
Question 3.
No, number 2, why was he killed?
Oh.
because he was bringing a picture of the suspect to Holmes, and he
Yes.
knew, and he knew that he had
Knew too much.
Yeah.
Knew too much. Had picture. Too much. Had picture. That was question 2.
Yeah, number 3 is who killed him.
Leopis, which we're not really sure of, but we'll put down 4.
Number 4, was it connected with the death of Sir Wilfrid Majorabunks?
No.
not directly,
Well,
only tangentially, but not. I'm
Yeah.
gonna say not directly.
I think putting indirectly is what I'm comfortable answering.
Okay.
Like indirectly at best.
Yeah.
Indirectly.
Shrug emoji.
Yeah.
Number 5, what is the cause of Majorabank's death?
Poison.
Poison tobacco.
Snapdragon.
Snapdragon.
Snapdragons.
Poison plus weak
Actual
heart.
snap.
Yeah. Poison plus dragon type.
Got snapped by dragons.
Okay.
Second series, there are 4 questions here.
Mhm.
Was there a reason for Majorabank's death? Explain.
He was investigating
Yes.
bond fraud.
Yes.
Investigation into brawn fraud.
7, who died at the Bethlehem Asylum?
Is it actually the Eggman? Because the Egghead. What was his name?
Dick Anchor.
Dick Anchor.
Dick Anchor.
How could you forget Dick Anchor?
Dick
I
Anchor
really
slash-
should never have forgotten, but that's gonna be my guess
Slash
because
Smith.
he is a guy who would have been, in there as part of their smuggling about criminals.
But wait, what evidence do we have that he was the one murdered?
He was bald.
Everybody said there aren't many bald
Convinced.
people back then.
But the only person that we heard that died was Smith.
Right, but Smith is we're assuming is an alias.
Okay. Alright.
Okay.
That's-
If you want to write down Smith, like I don't mind, but that's like my.
Do you want to go halfsies on it?
But slash
Yes.
Smith, because they're talking about the same person.
Sure.
Okay. Okay.
Who killed William Telbin?
Oh, hell if we know.
Wait, who is William Telvin?
I feel like we ran across his name once.
did, we said-
when we asked that same question. Who's William Telvin? Didn't get it.
Let's check the paper real quick and see if there's
Do
anything.
you remember where we found him? No.
It's somewhere in this book.
Good. You just put what's his name?
Sweet bee.
Tobias again.
Yeah, it was Tobias. He
Tobias.
killed all of them. I'm willing to just gloss that one over, I think.
Okay.
Ready, boys?
Yeah.
I'm grumpy they didn't even bother asking us who killed, what's his name?
Mario Banks.
Yeah, Mario Banks.
Yeah, Mario Van
Which, why would
Peebles.
they? Because he basically confessed to it by lying so blatantly.
This investigation will have had its fair share of twist. It was hiding more murders than the one in which it caused to start, declares Sherlock Holmes.
Very true.
You're talking about the murder of Marjoribanks, about which this young man was coming to see you, says Lestrade, nodding while blinking all 8 of his eyes. No, you horrible monster. The death of Sir Wilfrid Marjoribanks has nothing to do with that of Jean Dumont, our unfortunate client. No, Dumont was coming to see me for another reason. According to his mother, he didn't know how to read. It was therefore odd that he'd come and see me with a newspaper article. I realized that what motivated the young man to come and see me was the portrait of Rodolfo Leopis, located on the back of the article. But I'm getting ahead of myself. He lights a cigarette. First off, I had to determine the young man's identity. This was simpler than it seemed. A visit to Rowlands and Frazier allowed me to get the name of the person who had gotten the watches engraved, Mr. Solomon Perkovich, for the players of his darts team. This allowed me to get the presumed identity of the victim as well as that of his mother, Dolores Dumont. After having spoken to her, it was obvious that her son had been perturbed following the incident which occurred at his workplace, the Bethlehem Asylum. It's when I learned that neither her nor her son knew how to read that I understood the important side of the paper was the one showing Rodolfo Leopis, the Spanish criminal. On that topic, Mr. Holmes, Wiggins starts. Just a moment, Wiggins. I must continue my story before I lose my train of thought. What happened in Bethlehem? Asks Watson. Upon examination of the area, it seemed evident that someone broke into the wing where the 2 patients, Novak and Smith, were residing. Fragments of the glass in the corridor do indicate the window has been broken from the outside. As we'll see later, Smith was actually, in fact, Rodolfo Leopis. Leopis was at the asylum? Why?
Oh, that's...
The asylum was used for a shelter for fleeing criminals. Leopis wasn't just hunted by the police, but also by the criminal underworld. Why the devil, Holmes? He wanted to double-cross the organization behind the 2 conspiracies of the 2 Madrid banks, and 2 more in Paris. He had enemies on both sides of the law. If we arrested him, we'd be helping him out. The police wanted to lock him up, but his former allies want to kill him. Just then, someone knocks at the door, interrupting Holmes in his explanations. Enter! A man in dirty rags opens the door. His face is covered in soot and his shoes have seen better days. The man steps close to Holmes and whispers a few words in his ear. Holmes thanks him with a warm pat on his back and walks him back to the door. Who's that poor wretch, Holmes? A new member of the Baker Street Irregulars? This man, Inspector, is one of the richest citizens of London, a broker who works in the highest spheres of society. His life is only poor in excitement, so I've offered to him and a few of his friends to create the Society of Amateur Beggars. Once in a while, they are my ears and eyes in the dark streets and dirty alleys of London. Under their patched clothes, they remain intelligent men. In the absence of my sharpshooters, I ask them to check out and address Leopis's new hideout. Inspector, if you send a few men to 7 Newcomen Street, you'll find there Europe's most wanted men. I'll send a patrol immediately. Inspector, I must later, Wiggins. We can't let him get away. I don't think you have much to worry about, Inspector. You see, we already went to that address. If you haven't read what happened at 7 Newcomen Street yet, it's time to decipher the new paper's secret message and go there, and then it provides the codes, which indeed the code is the number of the day rotated on the dial. Holmes solved the case in 4 leads. Rowlands and Frazier, Solomon Perkovich, Dolores Dumont, Bethlehem Asylum.
Yeah, but Holmes didn't get to shoot it.
Well, having solved it in 4 leads, then we start negative 105 points.
Spectacular.
Alright.
Who died on Holmes' doorstep?
Johnny Dumont.
Johnny Dumont for 25 points.
Nice.
Why?
He knew too much and he had the picture of
You
Leopis.
recognized Imhoff's patient.
Mhm.
25 points.
Nice.
Who killed him?
Leopis?
Either Leopis or one of the members of Imhoff's network. Both answers are acceptable. 10 points.
Nice.
Okay.
Was it connected to Marjoribanks' death? No. Dumont's death had no links to Marjoribanks' death, Despite Leopas being implicated in the traffic of the fake bonds, which Sir Wilfrid was investigating. 20 points. I think we get that.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess.
I'm pretty sure we get that. How did Majorabanks die?
Poison plus a weak heart.
Yes, it specifically mentioned Snapdragon. 20 points.
Okay.
What was the
Second was why was there a reason for Majorabanks' death?
Yes! He was poisoned by Marvin Tobias after that man realized that Majorabanks was on the verge of revealing his implication in bonds trafficking. 10 points.
Nice.
Who died in the Bethlehem Asylum?
Dr. Robotnik.
Yes. Dick Dr. Eggman Robotnik. Anchor. 10 points.
Okay.
Who killed William Telvin?
Who cares?
Cyrus Maccabee cares. Maccabee apparently believed that Telvin caused his daughter's death.
Okay.
Well,
Oh, wow.
if you follow more leads in homes, subtract 5 points to your score for each extra lead.
We did that already.
Yep.
We end at plus 15.
Plus 15!
Yep.
We did it!
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that's good. That's good. Good game.
Points for shooting.
I'm surprised they didn't offer us bonus points for having gotten there before they gave us the solution to the puzzles, but
I don't know. I don't know.
Plus 15.
About that. Well, you have to go to jail now, Wiggins. Goodbye.
Well, it'll only be for like a week.
And don't do it again. Oh, good game.
Good game.
Well done, everyone. Man, that code threw us for a loop, huh?
It did.
But
So close.
we were so close multiple times until we were close.
Paula, we were close.
Polo, we did such a good job.
Yeah.
Good work, everyone.
Good work.
Well, thank you guys for playing. Thank you guys for hanging out with us.
Mm-hmm.
I got nothing. You got anything? You got anything?
Hungry.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We should do something about that.
Food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Food.
Yeah.
Polo, what do you think?
Polo wants food.
All right, everyone. Your homework assignment is to go get some food, and remember all the letters of the alphabet. Don't be like me. Remember your alphabet. Oh, and someone should get a Dick Anchor tattoo. Please report back. Okay. This will count towards your final grade. Of which ours is a 15 out of 100. That's probably like a C, right?
Hey, the scale goes farther than 0, so it's
Yes.
out of more than 100.
Yeah,
That's-
it's on a double.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
We're on the right half of the scale, the positive half.
Absolutely. Good. All right. Yeah, it's more of a pass-fail kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where if you murder the guy, you pass.
All
All right. Good night, everyone.